Good morning, DJ and PK. It's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Welcome in on a Friday morning, our last football Friday of this season. Super Bowl coming up Sunday. Ian Furness, working in Seattle, covering the Seahawks, is going to join us. You're going to hear from him later this hour. Also, the Utah Jazz coming off nearly a perfect game last night. Young guys played well. Team played a close game, but Atlanta hit a last-second shot, a late shot, and then the Jazz missed a last-second shot, and Atlanta escaped, winning by 2 points. Really couldn't ask for more. Cody Williams made some plays on defense. Isaiah Collier played all 48 minutes and had 25 points, 11 assists, and 7 rebounds. Markkanen sat early in the third quarter and didn't come back in the game because if he had, they might have won. You could really see all the strategy playing out. Let's get to the best of the postgame show.
It's Jazz recap here on DJ and PK, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Thrilling game in Atlanta last night, but the Jazz come up just short. They fall to the Hawks, 121-119. The Jazz were led by Isaiah Collier, double-double for him in his homecoming. 25 points, 11 of 22 shooting. He also dished out 11 assists. Ace Bailey, 20 points, 6 rebounds. He was 9 of 26 shooting. Hit the game-tying three with about 13 seconds to go. Nickeil Alexander-Walker comes back and hits the go-ahead two, and the Jazz end up falling by that margin, 121-119. Let's get to the post-game sound and Jazz head coach Will Hardy.
As a group, again, we're playing a lot of kind of wild lineups out there, and the guys are figuring out ways to help each other, both sides of the ball. The biggest issue for us tonight, obviously, was protecting the paint. They had 76 paint points, and a lot of that was our physicality on the ball, guarding screeners. We weren't physical enough with the screeners when we were switching, and they were able to get behind us. We put 2 on the ball, a little bit too much. Credit to Atlanta. They did a great job of executing, making those reads in the seam, put a lot of pressure on our defense. But proud of our young group. I think we're continuing to show signs of getting better. I know a lot will be made of Isaiah playing 48 minutes again, but he's a young kid. And, yeah, I'm not going to talk about load management.
I wanted to ask you about Ace's 26 shots in the last couple of games. He's got more of the offensive load on his shoulders. Just how do you think he's responded to that?
He's been great. I think the first step for a young player is making the right read to get shots off. I thought Ace showed a variety of things offensively tonight. I think, his ratio of threes was pretty good. At some point in his career, on 26 shots, you probably take more than 8 threes. But I thought his ability to get out in transition and put pressure on the rim, he found a few pull-ups. Obviously, that 3 he hit late was big. But he's doing it in a variety of ways. And I think that's the part that I'm most excited about, is he's showing a lot of growth in terms of recognizing where he can get shots off. Yeah, for me and for our staff, we obviously have our guys under a microscope because I've watched every minute that Isaiah's played in his career. And that's the same with all these guys, Cody, Kyle, Bryce, this year with Ace. And so how far they've come. You also have an appreciation when you're with them every day of the work they're putting in, film, practice, individual workouts, to try to form habits. And, I think our young players deserve a lot of credit. I also think that our assistant coaches deserve a lot of credit. They don't get talked about enough. They're the ones that are on the floor with these guys every single day. They watch individual film with them. They work them out one-on-one. They work them out in small groups. They're doing a lot of the breakdown work at practice. And I think their consistency of their messaging every day to help these young guys grow has been tremendous. We are and we will continue to reap the benefits of the work that's been being put in by the young players and our assistant coaches.
With Ace being back to his hometown area and everything Was there a little extra oomph and joy in his step coming into this game?
I think so. I mean, you know, I'm not going to lie. The crowd cheered louder when Ace was announced than when the Hawks were announced. There were a lot of people here who wanted to see Ace play. Obviously, Isaiah just had his jersey retired last night at Wheeler. And I think for both those guys, you know, I've been a part of Walker coming back here to play in his rookie year. I think any young player getting to play in front of people that they love and people that they grew up with, people that have been a part of their basketball journey, is exciting. I also think there's a lot of pressure in that. Like, you want to play well. You want to play great in front of all your people. You know, we are lucky that Ace is an energetic guy every day. So it was hard to detect like a change in his mood or energy because he's a happy, funny, energetic kid every single day.
With Isaiah, what are you telling him to do, you know, after playing 96 minutes? Like, just keeping his body right and trying to, you know, make sure that he's healthy for the next one.
Yeah, I think our medical staff does a tremendous job of working on all of our guys' bodies. Zay has a protocol that he goes through after every game. No matter how much he plays, obviously there will be more emphasis on some of the recovery elements of that. Got to hydrate and really be conscientious of what you're putting in your body, especially since we're getting on a plane right after the game. I imagine he'll be a little bit sore tomorrow, but I won't ask him how he feels because I don't want to put in his head that he is more sore than he is. He'll get a good night's sleep tonight. He'll get a good night's sleep tomorrow, and he'll be ready to go against Orlando.
And then when do you expect some of the guys from the trade to arrive with the team?
They've been going through their physicals. The hope is that we see them in Orlando.
Jazz head coach Will Hardy. Let's now move on to the players and hear from Ace Bailey.
I mean, big time shot. They believed in me. I mean, stepped up, believed in myself first. So, I mean, I told coach I was going to shoot it, and I shot it. I stepped in the shot with confidence.
You had some pretty big plays tonight. The crowd was going crazy. They're pretty familiar with you being back here in Atlanta. What was it like to be back here and also with some family around?
It was fun. I mean, I got both homes. I mean, Chattanooga and Atlanta, but I'm from Chattanooga, so I love it. So both of them came out and showed support, and it was much love.
Could you tell the difference in the game when the crowd got like that? Could you feel that a little bit?
No, for sure. I mean, it gave me energy. Hearing everybody just say where they from while I was running back and forth on the court, just saying Chattanooga's here, Atlanta's here. It was fun doing that.
With a bunch of guys out, you're taking on a bigger offensive role. How do you feel like you're adjusting to that?
Good. I mean, I'm slowing the game down. I mean, seeing shots, seeing reads. I mean, finding my teammates in spots to get them open when I see the double or something like that.
What do you think about Isaiah, what he's been able to do these last couple games?
Oh, that boy crazy. Isaiah nice. I mean, he see the floor. I mean, he gets to his spots. And he know where his spots at. He don't let no one stop him getting to his spots. And I really love that from Zay. I mean, he also sees the floor while he's getting to his spots. So that's a great thing about Zay.
What's it like to get an assist from him? What does it feel like?
It's good. I mean, we both played in Atlanta. Even though we was rivals, I mean, it's still good to have two Atlanta boys on the same team. So that's always fun.
What do you think about him playing 48 minutes the last couple?
Props. I mean, this is his second year playing whole game. I mean, this is his second time doing it too. Not back to back, but back on a road trip like this. So it's crazy.
He's the first player to do it since 2015.
It's crazy. NBA. That's crazy. And you see what he's doing with it too. So he's still out there giving out his 100% effort, even though he's playing 48 minutes.
With you being here in not too far down the road up in Chattanooga, when you had that, I ran into your dad on the way in, and he was just like, everybody's coming down, it's exciting. What's that like for you to see that support both Atlanta and up in Chat?
It's good. I mean, both of them is home, but I'm from Chattanooga, but it's crazy. They took that 2-hour drive. So even some school teachers, I had teachers, they called in for work, so it's crazy. So I really appreciate that.
And just when you can soak in the moment and going from there, and obviously being across the country, but you can have now here in Atlanta people seeing who saw you in high school, getting to see you there. What's that like for you?
It's fun. I mean, just let me know my city show support, and I'm behind them. For sure. Thank y'all. Now I got to go up here to all these damn people.
There's Ace Bailey, 20 points, 6 rebounds for Ace as the Jazz come up short against the Hawks, 121-204. 102-119. Next up, the Jazz take on the Magic in Orlando. Coming up tomorrow night. Tip-off for that game's at 5. Pre-games begins at 4.
There is the best of the post-game show. When we come back, Kelly Poppinga, new defensive coordinator at BYU, talking Cougar football. Stay with us.
And joining us right now is the new defensive coordinator, Kelly Poppinga. Kelly, good morning.
PK, how we doing?
Doing great. You know, I was thinking, watching yesterday there in your new role, I'm thinking, my gosh, the kids grow up fast, don't they? Because I was a beat writer when you were a player, as I was a beat writer a few years earlier when Kalani and A-Rod were players. And here we are. You have a leadership role now. And I mean, you had one before as a special teams guy and interior line or exterior, but now you are the coordinator. How exciting is that for you to have this individual promotion?
It's been really exciting to kind of see everything come together, to see our staff come together, to see the players stay and be retained, and all that happened too. I don't want to give it any credit to myself. That all happened before I even was announced. There was a few players that knew I was staying, but I would really give the leadership of the team a ton of credit there, that we were able to retain all these guys. And so it's exciting to be able to work with all this talent that we have coming back. Not just talent, these guys are exceptional people. And I just think, Kalani's created a great culture, and it's made our players want to stay here or make it really hard for them to leave here. And so it's fun to get a bunch of these really good players back in a first year coordinator role for me, to be able to have the depth and the talent that we have. It's going to make my job a little easier, right? And so excited for the opportunity and the challenge, and very thankful to Kalani to giving me this opportunity.
It's funny how much things have changed over the years as far as, recruiting is always a big deal, right? It always has been a big deal. You guys spend a ton of time recruiting. I've seen you sitting there watching high school basketball games, watch sophomores. So they're still 2-3 years away from potentially making commitments. So you have to establish those relationships, and then you'd have to establish relationships with high school coaches, JC guys, and there'd be a few transfers here and there that would have. Now the transfer portal is huge, but also I think maybe an underappreciated story, Kelly, is now basically the retainment period. I don't even know if that's a phrase, but I'm going to coin that in terms of you've got to make sure that you keep your guys, because you've got some really good players. And we've seen guys who follow coaches, and obviously Jay and Janelle go with Kyle to Michigan. So that was one. Plus there's others, I'm sure. Speak to how important that retainment period is after the season before school starts, to make sure the guys who are vital in your program actually do stay in your program.
Yeah, to me, it's the most important part of recruiting now is you spend all, like you said, you spend all this time, you spend all this money recruiting these kids to come here in high school, which is really, that's probably the most important part, right? You got to get him here first, but the second most important part is you got to retain him here. And that's a part of recruiting that we use is like, okay, we're going to recruit this guy. And I don't even know if this is a word, but what's his retainability, right?
Yeah.
Is he a guy that we can retain? If he, like, say he blows up to be, an All-American, or, like LJ, he becomes the Big 12 Offensive Player of the Year. Like, are we going to be able to retain this guy? And to LJ's credit, he had a lot of people that were coming after him, and he didn't want to go. He wanted to stay. And it goes back once again, I think, to the culture Kalani's created here, the way that we push our guys, but at the same time, Kalani likes to have a lot of fun doing it. And so I think the guys know that we're going to take really good care of them. And they just know that, at some places in college football, it's not like that. It's a true business. There's no relationship with the coaches. It's just, they get into the building, they get out, and there's really not much more going on. It's like they've already, made it to the NFL as far as like relationships go. So we try to push that part really hard. And so that goes into the retainability part. Once you get to the end of the season, we got to do it's really kind of like, in a way, you have to recruit them all over again, but really you're recruiting them throughout the whole entire season, right? The way that you treat them, the way that you coach them, they're interviewing you, and we're interviewing them throughout this whole process as the season goes on. And so I think a lot of times you lose players during the season, by the way, a lot of times it's because you don't tell them the truth, right? So you tell them, hey, you're going to play all this, you're going to have all this playing time, or this is going to happen, and this is going to happen. But if that never happens, and the player just looks at you as a liar and just like, okay, this guy's not a man of truth, and so he's going to go and find that somewhere else. And so I just think that our players ultimately, at the end of the day, when it came to this season, they saw that we were trying to do it the right way, and I think they saw the result of it, and the result was good, right? And so I think a lot of them were like, why would I leave a situation where the results are good, we're getting what we've been looking for as a player, and I think that validity of winning and being successful, not just on the field but off the field as well, has helped retain our roster.
The way you speak of that, and I think it's kind of a perception, and I want you to address it, is that, the kid glove approach now, that the kids, you got to make sure that you're building them up and maybe even buttering them up. And so you can't, and I heard the UCLA basketball coach say this the other day, is that he can't coach them the way he used to. And the reference there that we would take inference is that, well, you can't coach them hard. And I wanted you to address that, because you have to coach them hard, but you got to make sure that, I guess, you're not offending them. How much of that is a line that you got to straddle to make sure you still coach them hard, but you don't upset him and mom and dad and girlfriend or wherever it might be?
Yeah, I totally disagree with the UCLA coach. And I think I actually saw that quote. And the reason why is I think if you have the right kid, he wants to be coached hard. Right, so it doesn't matter the situation. If you recruited the right way and you recruited to what you're looking for, the kid wants to be coached hard. And I think that's something that Kalani's a master at. I thought Jay was really good at it. I think Gary Anderson's really good at it. And I think we've all just learned as a staff, you have to coach your guys hard. But then at the same time, you got to love them up and you got to take care of them. And there's that fine line of you can't be his buddy and his friend all the time, right? And that's really not our job. Our job is to help them reach their potential as a player and as a person. And if you're not doing that day in and day out, coaching them hard, they're not going to become the best version of themselves. And every good player will say that, right? They want to be coached hard and they want to be given the proper coaching. If you're not correcting them to help them become a better player, then they see that and they'll go find that, right? So I think there's that fine line right there, is you got to be able to be able to coach a guy hard, but that maybe a minute later or 2 minutes later, you're over on the sideline, you're hugging that guy up and letting him know that you love and care for him. And Kalani uses this principle in the program, which I really love, is that's true love. True love. And the same thing when you raise your kids, right? So none of us are perfect at raising our kids, and it's, I think, like coaching, but there's times like true love is you've got to tell the truth, right? And if you tell the truth, then they see that you're trying to help them become better, right? But when you start beating around the bush and maybe telling them how great they are all the time, then that's never going to help anybody. That's in the football world or any world. Like, we got to be able to tell the truth, address the truth, and fix it, and that's going to help all of us continue to progress.
New BYU defensive coordinator Kelly Poppinga joining us here on 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone. I'm wondering now, as your coordinator, you are the coordinator, each day you're going to be doing things, working, in season, out of season. How much of that changes now from what you were, the literal changes as to how you spend your day and days now that you're the coordinator versus when you were a position coach?
Yeah, there's a lot going on. So it just from you're no longer just recruiting your position, but now you're recruiting the whole side of the ball. And we'd all help each other out, but now it's like you're one of the main contacts with every single one of those guys. So I think that takes up a lot of time. It's the same thing when you coach your position. You're only coaching, the outside backers or defensive ends when you're a position coach, but now when you're D coordinator, you're coaching the whole entire defense, right? So, and then now you're also managing coaches at the same time, right? So beforehand, you're kind of just, doing your thing, as a defensive end coach or a special teams coordinator, and you'll get some help from other people, and you have to manage, maybe a couple coaches that are helping you with special teams. But now on the defensive side of the ball, there's 10 to 12 guys now that I have to help make sure that, we're coaching the proper techniques and fundamentals. We're coaching the call correctly. We're making sure that, everybody's in a good standing academically, right? So there's this whole management now of people that you have to worry about. And so, yeah, that takes up a lot more time, and you just really don't know until you're doing it. And so, I tell my wife all the time, it's been this last month has been super, super busy, and it's been more busy than I've ever been in my whole coaching career. And yeah, I'd gotten home a couple nights a little later than usual, and she's just like, "Are you sure this is what we wanted here?" So, but it's good. I mean, she's supportive and all, but it's just you just don't realize until you're actually in it, and it'll get better. The more that I learn and grow and be able to learn how to manage time better, and manage each, I think, bucket of responsibilities that you have, then it will get better. But yeah, it's been a whirlwind, man. But it's been fun to learn and grow, and I've had Kalani's helped me a ton, and I've taken calls from Bronco. Bronco and I have talked a lot, and he's helped me out with a bunch of stuff. And so it's good to have these. And Gary Anderson's been here and helping me a ton. So it's been good to have these guys that have been around for a long time, that have been super successful doing it, being able to give me their feedback and their suggestions. And so being able to have people like that to talk to has really helped me as well.
And that leads me to my next question. We're talking to Kelly Poppinga, BYU defensive coordinator. Everybody has mentors. I don't care who you are, what you do. We all have mentors, right? Whether it's family members when we're younger growing up. I had I have a couple older sisters, and one of my sister's husbands was my guy. I didn't have a big brother, and he was my big brother. He was 10 years older than me, and I owe so much of what I am about to him. You recruit Arizona, don't you? You have recruited Arizona.
Yep.
Yeah, well, he was a soccer coach at Cactus High School. I don't know if you ever made it out
Cactus
that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, the little press box thing, if you enter go the next time, it's got his name on it because he started high school soccer and was one of the gurus in high school soccer. Anyway, he was my guy, and I didn't make a decision without consulting with him because I knew he had my best interest at heart at all times. He's gone now, and I miss him dearly. But anyway, I wanted to hit on your mentors. You already mentioned Bronco. Who else you got?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, obviously Bronco is probably one of the main ones. I was with him for 13 years as a coach, and then there 3 or 4 as a player, and then I would say the original defensive staff that I was on, Paul Tidwell, Steve Kafusi. I think those guys were great mentors for me. Even Lance Reynolds, the coach Lance Reynolds, helped me out a ton when I was first getting into this business, and Mark Weber, another guy, that original staff that I was on as a young coach. Really helped me grow, develop, and know who I am in the coaching world. But as far as just defensive mentors, I would say it has to come down to Bronco. I think Nick Howell's, into that right there. I think even my time at Boise State, I had, Spencer Danielson, who's now the head coach, and Andy Avalos, and Kane Ione. There's tons of people that have been – I've been blessed. I've been put in great situations around great coaches everywhere I've been, from my first time here at BYU to my time at Virginia to my time at Boise. And that's why I brought DeMario Warren here, right, because he was so influential in what I was doing and what we had done at Boise that I thought, man, if I ever have a chance to hire this guy, this can be the first call that I have. And so – there's all these great people, but now if I'm really looking into it, Jay Hill was awesome. I mean, for 3 years, what I was able to learn from that guy and just a different perspective. So if I had to say who I'd say this defense is going to be based around, it's going to be based around a little bit of Bronco Mendenhall. It's going to be based around a little bit of what we did at Boise State. It's going to be based around, a little bit of what Jay Hill did. And, that the whole fundamentals is going to come from Kalani and Gary. They're the ones. I mean, really, if you look at the tree from Kyle to Gary to Kalani and Jay, and then now the situation that we're in now. So I just think each phase of that is going to have their little twist on this deal. But yeah, if you had to say where it all started, it started with probably Kyle Winningham, and even before that, Fred Winningham, right? So that's where it all kind of cool.
Yep. There you go.
And it's, I look at it now and be like, whoever thought that I'd be a part of that tree, but I am a part of it now, and I've learned a ton from it. And so to be able to take that, what I've learned, and apply some of the stuff that I learned from Bronco and from my Boise State times, it's the same thing I did with special teams. I'm going to try to take the best of all the worlds, and find find our mix of what works for our team and our players. And that's our job. And that's what we're doing right now, is looking at last season and saying, okay, what fits into this defense, this style of defense that we want to play with the players that we have, and then we'll run with it. And I'm really excited about where we are at this point.
There's Kelly Poppinga. When we come back, Ian Furness, living in Seattle now, covering the Seahawks and Patriots in Santa Clara. Ian Furness talking Super Bowl next.
Joining us now, Seattle Seahawks #1 fan. You remember him.
He is the big man, Ian Furness. Ian, good morning.
What's going on, man? How are you? Look at you leading the show and everything, man. Look how far we've come over the years.
Over the years, that is for sure. That prepositional phrase is the key to our show, over the years.
has to be the longest running morning show in America, isn't it? My goodness.
Gotta be.
It has to be.
With no end in sight.
No. Despite everyone's wishes, it still continues to trudge on. So
I know. DJ is off today.
Voice, PK. Good. Yeah, I hear you taking some time. I mean, why work this week? It's not much going on. Jazz trade, Super Bowl week. I mean, it makes sense.
I don't think it's vacation. I think it's some other stuff that he's got going.
Okay. All right. Well, good to hear your voice, PK. Good to hear your voice.
So we've got the Super Bowl. Seattle Seahawks back in it. Improbable, I think it's fair to say. And when Sam Darnold came aboard, what were your expectations for this team and for Sam?
Well, I truly thought that. I mean, they were coming off a 10-win season last year.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like they were rebuilding.
That's why I said somewhat improbable.
Yeah, because I mean, the Patriots, I think, were more of that. Although, the way the NFL works, there's an East Coast centric, view of things sometimes that kind of bleeds into California with the 49ers and the Rams, and but I I'll be honest with you, and we probably talked about this last year. At the end, I was not a big Geno fan. I thought there were a lot of red flags with him in the final year, 2 years, really, in terms of his, how he played, how he handled himself, kind of his priorities. He was a Pete guy. He was never a Mike McDonald guy. What Darnold did, if you take the 2 games out the final year in Minnesota, the final regular season game and the playoff game was remarkable. And, guys I talked to around the league were, in specifically in San Francisco, Minnesota, and even Carolina, were all like, hey, this dude's got something. There's something there. There's a reason he was drafted where he was. A lot of good players go to the New York Jets and aren't very good after that because of the New York Jets. And so I expected, I think we talked about at the start of the year, we've all been kind of looking back on what our things were. I saw maybe an 11-win team, 12 tops. But, they've surpassed that. So, yeah, I thought the Rams would be the best team in the division, or the 49ers, but Seattle would be right there. I didn't see a division championship or a Super Bowl. So they've exceeded slightly my expectations, and I think a lot of folks.
Obviously, from the outside in, at least to me as a football guy, it really looks like Seattle with their defense, with the way Sam Darnold's playing, with the receivers that they have. I feel like they're going to win this Super Bowl. But when you're looking at it from your perspective, what worries you about the New England Patriots? What is it that's gotten them this far, and what is it that could be the Achilles heel for Seattle?
Yeah, Riley, I think that, if you just look at just kind of the 2 teams and the general matchup, you're hard-pressed to find a place where Seattle, position group-wise or what have you, isn't better. Maybe the interior of the defensive line, people are saying that a lot this week, but I don't know. I think, the way Byron Murphy and Leonard Williams have played, I think that might be a stretch as well. Drake May's legs can be a problem. There's no doubt about that. And, at the end of the day, these 2 teams were basically top 5, top 3 in most of the basic, categories, offense and defense. In terms of total offense, Seattle was 8th, New England was 3rd. In terms of points per game, Seattle was 3rd, the Patriots were 2nd. Total defense, Patriots 8th, Seattle 6th, but points allowed per game, Seattle was the best defense in terms of scoring defense in the NFL. Patriots not far behind at 4. So it's just kind of these 2 teams that are very even, at least in terms of some of those numbers. So, at that point, anything can happen. I do think that, Seattle's better at the skill positions overall. They've got, Jackson Smith and Jigba has a chance to win the offensive MVP tonight or tomorrow night, I guess it is. And what Rashid Shaheed has brought to the team in terms of speed on the outside, much less his special teams. A.J. Barner's been revelation at tight end. Playoff Cooper Kupp is a different animal, by the way, than regular season Cooper Kupp. Like, he's a different guy. So, what he does in terms of the pass game, first down catches, getting that extra yard, his run blocking is really elite, like just crazy elite. But I think if I was to worry about something, it's the Super Bowl and it's this team. And, I was there in Arizona when some weird things happened. So who knows? And I guess the other thing would be just the general thing. When we went back and covered the Super Bowl 48 in New Jersey, if you guys remember, that was Peyton Manning, highest scoring offense in the history of the NFL, all that stuff. No one was giving the Seahawks and that Legion of Boom defense a chance. It was like, boy, they're gonna smoke them, and it was the opposite. Seattle ran them out of the building. So stuff does happen. There's not a lot of back and forth where you can kind of really kind of do a side by side comparison. I will say this: New England's schedule in the regular season was pretty soft, pretty weak, and the way the NFL works it out, right? It's if you have the worse record you have, the easier your schedule is going to be in some of the crossover games that aren't divisional. So New England had a little softer schedule and got their way through it. But I think Seattle will win, but I think it's going to be closer than people think.
You speak of Sam Darnold, the Jets, but he was also with the Panthers and Niners, and I guess maybe he needed some opportunity to shake off the negative rust from the Jets. And he had the decent season last year for sure, and signs there. He played at San Clemente High down there in San Clemente, California. Now, that's a quarterback factory. You'll never guess who their starting quarterback at San Clemente High is right now.
I know who it is.
You'll never guess, Ian.
I won't even try it. Who is it?
What year did you leave here?
2002. End of 2002. So
okay,
November
so that
2002.
was John Beck was just getting started. I'm sure you remember him at BYU, right?
Yep.
His son is the starting quarterback at San Clemente High School.
That's just fantastic. Thanks for making me feel older. Wow.
Keep your eye on him.
No, I keep up with all that stuff. Listen, PK, me and BYU fans, we're tight. We're still thick as thieves, man.
That's
I'm still
weird.
keeping track of what's going on.
PK's really close with them too.
Well, I am one because I'm one.
I know. Yeah, I was always welcome down in Provo. They love me down there.
We're
so
talking
I
to
might
a
come
couple
back
of
and
Cougars
visit.
here. One from Washington State, one from BYU.
Yeah, Riley. They don't. For some reason, I don't know why I didn't quite mesh with those guys as well as the guys in the red. But man, that makes me feel really old. Thanks, PK. I appreciate that.
A little bit. Actually, that area has produced so many high school really good quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Just that whole Southern California area, and particularly that area too, down there in that Southern Orange County area.
Like Sam kind of comes from that factory down there, and then goes to USC, right? And ends up finally kind of taking the job from Max Brown, who is a 5-star as well, and he's from up here in our neck of the woods,
right.
But you mentioned Carolina and San Francisco. A lot of the credit for his success goes to his time his year in San Francisco with Kyle Shanahan, and I think that's really where, which is Kyle Shanahan. You're like, damn, man, I wish that didn't happen. But backing up Brock Purdy and learning the Shanahan system, having a guy that ran a similar system this year as offensive coordinator Clinton Kubiak, that's what happened. He got better. And listen, like it didn't end well for Geno in Seattle, and certainly last year with the Raiders was a disaster. But I think you can just look at guys that go to the Jets and they're just awful, and then they go someplace else, with the exception of the quarterback from BYU, that ended up being better. But Kyle Shanahan and that year in Santa Clara, where they'll play this Sunday, was probably a huge reason why the Seahawks and Sam Darnold are where they are right now.
Does he have an attitude as far as I'm just wondering, a chip on his shoulder, still feel like he has to prove something?
No.
And what's his makeup, just his personal makeup?
If he does, he internalizes it well. I'll say that. He's probably the most easygoing quarterback, guy I've been around in that position. And I've been here since 2006 covering this team, and I don't remember anybody like this. We went back and we replayed the day he signed. We had him on the show, and I went back and I replayed that last week just to kind of take a listen to it again. And this guy's just like down to earth, humble, keeps on an even keel. You'll watch him on Sunday. I mean, listen, we know he'll throw an interception. It happens. That's kind of part of his makeup. He's been good in the postseason, but he doesn't get rattled, and he doesn't get too high, doesn't get too low. And it's really kind of one of the remarkable things about watching him. And it resonates with his teammates. I mean, Riley, you can relate to this. It resonates in the locker room. And this guy is so massively popular in that room. And for a team that went through the waning years of selfish Russ, and then I would say the same with Geno for the last year and a half, it's a welcome change. And I think if you want to look at one of the intangibles for this team and where they are today, it's the belief in Sam. I mean, Ernest Jones, their middle linebacker, and we all know defense doesn't always get along with the offense. It certainly wasn't the case with the old Super Bowl teams in Seattle. That was oil and water. But Ernest Jones got up and had a passionate, expletive-laden, diatribe about how great Sam Darnold is, and anybody who wants to argue might as well walk up to the podium right there and take him on, because these guys back him up, man. It's really amazing, and I think it's one of the cool stories of this team, how close they are, how tight-knit they are, and I think that comes from their belief and their love for Sam.
Well, I through the quarterback circles that I'm in, that's exactly the same thing that I've heard. Just how down to earth he is, how authentic he is as a person. I wanted to shift gears just a little bit, and you mentioned a little bit of the East Coast, not bias, but it's East Coast centric for the NFL, right? And we don't hear as much about Mike Macdonald. And what is it that Mike Macdonald brings to this team that's different from past coaches that have won Super Bowls and different than the history of the Seattle Seahawks that maybe we don't even notice in Utah because we do hear so much about the teams back east?
I would put him in the category. I'm just trying. You know what? If I'm just kind of in terms of personality, I'd almost put him in the Kyle Whittingham world. And I'm not. Listen, that's not a dig, because I know there's probably some fresh wounds there with him going to Michigan. But I just, a guy that's a defensive dude that kind of oozes defensive attitude, but is somewhat, not demonstrative, quiet. The one thing with Mike is, when he got hired, we're talking to guys back in Baltimore that, dealt with him when he was a coordinator back there. And they're like, yeah, don't get too excited, man. His interviews are going to be boring. He's got no personality. I'm not sure if he can communicate with guys and all that stuff. We all knew he was kind of a defensive guru, genius in a sense. And I'll get to that in a second, talking to players. But his personality's really blossomed. He's not Pete. Pete's one of a kind in terms of rah-rah, up and down, here we go, day before the day before, win forever, blah, all that stuff. And that worked for Pete, and it worked for a while here. Holmgren was this massive human being that is we love Mike. Mike's on our radio station. He's part of our radio. We have him on the show. In fact, he's on my show later today. And I love Mike. Mike is a quarterback guru, but an imposing figure. And, you have to be to deal with Brett Favre all those years. Mike's cut from a different cloth. New school, uses new numbers, but the players, man, they bought into this. And Riley, I'll give you this. This is an example of the buy-in for Mike Macdonald. The Seahawks this season during OTAs, minicamp is mandatory. We kind of get them all confused. They blend together. But the off-season workouts after the draft in May and June. There's like 3 days that are mandatory minicamp, but everything else, the OTAs, those are all voluntary. Now, voluntary means if you're a young guy or undrafted free agent, you're there. Also means if you're a veteran, you're probably there every now and then. You're getting your work in, but you're not there. They had 100% participation every OTA this year. And that was different from year one. And year one, they didn't. Well, I think the guys that weren't 100% weren't here in year two. They found that out. And guys like Jaron Reed, who's like the sole connection to the Legion of Boom, He kind of is the alpha dog in that room, and he made sure like everyone's here. And everyone said, guys were talking about, we're buying into Mike McDonald, man. We buy into what this guy's doing. And so it's pretty awesome to see that kind of buy-in. I think that just speaks to who he is. As far as the defense is concerned, I'll be the first to tell you, I'm not going to pretend to be all 22 media guy that is breaking down tape, because that's not what I don't know that. I can just tell you what players tell me. And the guys I've talked to, I've Jaron Reed on the show quite a bit. This guy's defense, it's based on a lot of communication. It's very complex. There's a lot of changes and check with me at the line, very much like an offense. And it took 2/3 of the year last year for them to kind of get going and figure it out. But once they got it going and once they got it humming and once he figured out what to do, and then they picked up a guy, Neiman Worry, that fits perfect with his scheme, boom, just like that, it's the number one scoring defense in the NFL. So elite defensive coach, a guy that's able to get the entire room to buy in to the plan and what they're doing. And then they had a great offensive coordinator who's now going to be a head coach next year with the Raiders and Kubiak. It all kind of came together.
You mentioned the Legion of Boom a couple of times. Now, that was noted defense, the cool nickname, big personalities. How does this compare to that?
They're different in the sense that defense was filled with, future Hall of Famers. Bobby Wagner, well, I guess I dare say, first ballot anymore, because we know how messed up the Hall of Fame is this particular year. But Bobby Wagner is a first ballot Hall of Famer based on the number of first-team All-Pros he's had. There's only two middle linebackers in the history of the sport named Singletary and Butkus that have done more within him. So Bobby Wagner's a Hall of Famer. Richard Sherman will be a Hall of Famer. Earl Thomas, debatable Hall of Famer. And then you had other guys on that defense like Cam Chancellor, Michael Bennett, Cliff Averill, that were all perennial Pro Bowlers, not necessarily, Pro Bowlers like Shedeur Sanders, actual legitimate Pro Bowlers. It was chalk.
Shedeur's not legitimate.
Nice shot.
Yeah, not in any way, shape, or form. But those guys were all stars, and and they were all super. And then they filled it in with some other guys. This team's more a sum of its parts. Eamon Worry has been a revelation. Probably should have been the NFL Defensive Player of the Year. People try to compare him to Cam because he's a big safety. He's just different. He's a better cover guy than Cam. Not quite as physical. Nobody's as physical as Cam was, but he's close. But they use him in a different way. He's in the box. He's up in the line of scrimmage, but he can cover guys as well in the slot. He's kind of the missing piece that helped them. Byron Murphy, the defensive tackle from Texas, in his second year just blossomed. Leonard Williams looks like he's 25 again. Finally got recognition award-wise by the NFL this season. But they don't have – here's the funny thing. That team that won it, they had two guys in Averill and Bennett that were technically backups, but, just because Chris Clemens and Red Bryant started. But those two guys were double-digit sacks guys, like 10, 11 sacks a year. Which in today's NFL isn't great. Like, it's good. You want to, but it's 20 total. You live with that. That's you're really good from the defensive end. This team's top sack guys had 7 sacks, so they do it. But they had 47 as a team, so they do it by committee, and they do it from everywhere. So they're just different. It's not as star laden as the Legion of Boom, but the results are the same. I mean, the Legion of Boom had that long stretch where they were the number one scoring defense in the NFL. For 4 or 5 years in a row, and this team just did it this year, and probably no reason to think they won't do it the next couple of years as well. So they're different. Personalities are different. They're not as boisterous. They're not as over the top. Right. They don't have defensive backs that are yelling at the quarterback in practice and chirping him the whole time. It's a little bit different attitude, but they're different. But they're really, really a good defense. I mean, they are a really good defense. And if you haven't watched them play, check them out on Sunday, because I think they're going to give Drake May some issues along the way.
I do too. I think Seattle is going to get another Super Bowl winner. I suppose it's the sports gods making up for the Sonics leaving, huh? Maybe that's it.
I don't know, buddy. That doesn't make. I mean, listen. Like, we're on 18 years. We think it's going to be 20 before they come back because it's a nice round number. The NBA is that's how they work. They're stupid and petty, but. Hey, can I ask you? I got to ask you guys a question, because my son, who was born in Sandy, Utah, Alphaview Hospital. Sure, and by the way, PK, you remember him when he was an infant? He just graduated from college.
Nice. Way to make me feel old, Ian.
Yeah, I want to make you feel old too. He just graduated. He's Played college football, small college football, won a championship. He's going to be a firefighter, but
Nice.
he's a huge Utah Jazz.
I remember that. I actually remember that.
You saw him a few years ago when he was a little guy.
Yeah.
He wants to know who won the trade. He thinks long-term Utah. He likes it, but he wants to know who won the trade. I need to pass that along to him.
Well, I mean, I always go by, who gets the best player, and of all the players, there were 8 of them. I think that Jaren Jackson Jr. is the best player, that's for sure. The 3 picks, man, they've got plenty of picks. So even if those picks blossom for Memphis or Memphis trades them to get other assets, good on them. You never know what's going to happen. They had cap space, but where are they going to get a player of that caliber? Free agents of his caliber don't really move that much. I don't know that it would have been impossible. Utah still has, I think, the reputation. I think that's chilled. It's not as bad as it once was. I think people have gotten over that and realized with guys like Carlos Boozer and Darren Williams out there saying this is a good place. You'll be fine here. I think that has been basically put to bed to a good extent. It's not South Beach and whatever. We understand that. But I think that they did what they needed to do to make themselves competitive. 4 years of tanking on a proud franchise with a proud fan base that's used to winning was long enough. And now they put themselves in it. Now they don't want Jaren Jackson to play because they got to get that pick. It's top 8 protected or else it goes to OKC. And if the lottery balls fall their way, hopefully they do, they've got a chance to really take a large jump next season and be competitive for a few years to come because their guys are young. So right now we're optimistic. We'll see what happens.
All right, I'll pass that along. We got to get down to a game again. It's been a few years since we've been down there, so maybe. Do you know the guy Ryan Smith? Do you know him, PK? Can you see if you can get me some tickets?
You can. Yeah, I've heard of him. He's been on our show a number of times. He's very media friendly.
Just check. Say, listen. The guy that used to fill in on your post-game shows when the late great Steve Klauke was doing baseball, like in the postseason. Let him know that I'd love to come down. Maybe I'm a poor media guy. I only have 2 jobs, so I need to get down there.
Well, let us know. We can set you up for sure. You just got to listen to DJ's stories. So thanks for coming on, Ian.
Oh, God. Riley, good talking to you, buddy. Take care. You guys do a great job. We'll talk to you soon. Take care.
There's Ian Furness. When we come back, what is trending? The headlines are next.
It's time to get your morning started with the news you need to know.
News update.
This is what's trending with DJ and PK. Hashtag Utah Jazz.
The biggest issue for us tonight, obviously, was protecting the paint. They had 76 paint points, and a lot of that was our physicality on the ball, guarding screeners. We weren't physical enough with the screeners when we were switching, and they were able to get behind us.
There's Will Hardy after the Jazz play what I believe we call a Kinahan game around these parts. This is what PK wants, a competitive game. Young guys play a lot of minutes. We learn a little something about them, or maybe reinforces something we've learned about them. And then they lose on a shot in the final minute or so. In this case, a missed shot right at the end. So, PK, you got no complaints, right? 121-119L, working the draft pick, and Isaiah Collier, Ace Bailey, Cody Williams. You get to see something from those guys.
Oh, I got major complaints, my good friend.
Brace yourself. All right, what do you got?
This is the worst trade the Jazz ever made, getting rid of Jock. I mean, he took it. He had so much anger at the Jazz. I'll show you. You let me go. I could have been one of your all-timers, but you wouldn't give me a chance. You didn't believe in me. You jettisoned me. And then he came back with a roaring vengeance. That's what I love. I love vengeance. And my man, Jock. Don't dock the Jock. That's what I kept thinking throughout the entire game. Do not dock the Jock.
Well, he's just one of those superstars they were afraid wouldn't resign here, PK.
Again, and I got to say this, man. I know it hurts, and I'll take some abuse, but never, under any circumstances, trust an Australian.
Nice. Nice shot at Joe, wherever he is.
Exactly. In the great beyond.
Great
which
beyond.
is now known
is the Eastern
which
Conference.
Is now known, no, is now known as Minnesota.
Oh, okay. All right. He is in the West now. Why can I not figure that out? Why is Minnesota in the West? Shouldn't Minnesota be in the East? Geography.
Some may ask why it's in the U.S., but that's another question.
I have heard that. Trading Minnesota for, is it Alberta? There's something about that. Whatever.
I'd go Toronto.
Seriously, this is what you wanted. This is what you wanted. 48 minutes for Isaiah Collier. Now, the 25 points and 11 assists is going to be a little bloated because of 48 minutes. You used to complain about the per 48 minutes. Like, that doesn't tell me anything because people don't play 48 minutes. Sure enough, now it's per 36 minutes. Somebody figured that out. You were ahead of the analytics MIT people.
One time I was looking at Oscar Robertson's career stats, and there was I think it was a playoffs run, which was extended. He averaged 48.5. So it can be done. I mean, basically, I have no problem calling Isaiah Collier instead of the Big O, the Big I.
There it is. 25 points, 11 assists, 7 rebounds. He nearly matched Yusuf Nurkic there and put a triple-double in the book. Nearly. Didn't quite get there, but impressive.
Yusuf who?
DNP, coach's decision. Keontae George, DNP, left ankle. Kevin Love.
Yeah, and then they sat Collier.
Yeah. DNP illness. And Markkanen sitting down in the third quarter. Whoa, we might win this game. Get that guy out of there. So he gets 18 points in 23 minutes. He had it going.
Yeah, and obviously they want to lose now. It becomes even more imperative, and get your thoughts in the following segments on the trade because they can't afford to win these games, clearly, especially when they got a schedule that's going to go up against a bunch of other teams. I think now with the trade deadline come and gone, we have increased the number of teams who want to tank.
Yes.
Not decreased.
Agreed.
And so that just adds to the pressure to lose games, because if you can add and get lucky in the lottery, man, all of a sudden, wow, look at what you got next year. And so the good thing is, and we can get to this later, obviously, that is we know that the rest of the season, the tanking can be more easily stomached, I guess, or digested, because we know as soon as the last game ends in the 82-game season, it is over.
We suspected it. We expected competition next year, and Tim Lacombe came on and expected real competition next year. But for the people who didn't believe us, you got to believe now with the trade. I mean, it's clearly on. There's nothing left to argue about. And if anything, it's trying to anticipate what moves come next and what will the lineup look like next year. There are scenarios where the competition for minutes at some of these positions could be intense, and it'll just make it imperative that the young guys have a big summer. Exactly. And I thought about some of the lineups that they could have, and there's still moving parts, so who knows. But you look at where they could be headed here, and it just reminded me of old Steve Cleveland line when he was rebuilding the team. I don't have subs, and all the starters know it. And you're not going to have bench high. And you only want that to a little degree. You don't want a big degree so that it erodes your confidence. But you want to know if you got to do it right. And if you're having a bad night, you're going to give somebody else a chance, because there's a bunch of guys over there who might be able to do it. And that's the advantage Will Hardy should have next year, barring something catastrophic. It looks like he's going to have that next year.
Yeah, you want to have a competitive training camp. You want to have, particularly at the college level, because you have more practices. You want to have a competitive practice each day, because obviously that's going to make players try their very best at all times, and that's how they're going to improve.
Yep.
It's the same thing at the pro level.
Orlando is over 500. That's the Jazz' next opponent. They are scrambling for a postseason position. Where will they land? I suppose they could fall out if things really went poorly, but it doesn't seem to be how things are heading for them. So expect Jazz to be missing a lot of players, and we'll see what they do tomorrow at 5 with a pregame at 4. The Jazz did officially waive Lonzo Ball and Chris Boucher, so, whatever, okay. Adding second-round picks, you guys go find a spot wherever you want to be. Thanks for playing. There you go. DJ and PK.
Hashtag NBA.
All right, here you go, PK. Right back to what you were just saying. It is clear that there are more teams that are no longer prioritizing this season. The Clippers, and we knew obviously they made the one trade there as they sent James Harden on the way. Now they sent Zubac on the way. Zubac and Kobe Brown to the Pacers for Bennedict Mathurin, Isaiah Jackson, 2 first-round picks. The 2026 pick Indiana is sending over is top 4 protected, and 2029 is unprotected. So that suggests the Clippers don't think they're going to be in a long rebuild, but they're going to be in a rebuild here. A team the Jazz might be moving past next year. Let's see what they do.
Okay, yeah.
Have you heard anything? You've heard a little bit. There's obviously a little bit of speculation about a suspension because the salary cap rules may not have been followed by the Clippers. And so if they end up sitting, their best player have to sit, if the NBA sits him for them and Kawhi Leonard's gone for a while, then how bad will they get? And will it go into next season, which obviously could impact, a team the Jazz might be moving past? We'll have to see. I wonder. I didn't know if you'd heard anything about if the suspension was going to come down this season, if it was going to go into next season.
Just that it's possible, and it's still obviously being investigated, so we'll have to see. The way I look at it for next season, the Clippers are not even a factor in the Jazz mind. I'm expecting the Jazz to be better than them.
Yep.
It's how good. It's not are the Jazz going to be good, it's how good.
Yes. I can see why you're thinking that. I can see why a lot of people are thinking that right now. The Bucks did decide to hold on to Giannis Antetokounmpo. I was in San Francisco the last couple of days, surrounded by Warrior fans. One of my college roommates in particular goes to a bunch of games and is way into it. And, what does this trade mean? It means the rebuild is on. The coach's deal is up this year. He doesn't seem to be coming back. The star player's deal is up next year. It's rebuild time. And the whole thought was when they made the trade, they'd given up on Giannis. Like, Giannis isn't going. And there were stories there that, hey, the Warriors don't think they're going to move him. So I don't know what it was, 18 or 24 hours before the deadline, whenever they pulled the deal on the move they made. And sure enough, they're right. The Bucks hold on to Giannis Antetokounmpo past the deadline. So expecting a summer of intrigue. Where will Giannis go? Who gets Giannis Antetokounmpo? And what is the price tag?
Hashtag.
Memphis couldn't move Ja Morant either, and we know about his off-court issues, and we know about his injuries, and we know about his massive contract. So not surprising they couldn't find a taker for him. Seemed to be a lot of things working against a deal there. Also, Luka Doncic suffering a left hamstring injury in the second quarter. Now the Jazz gave up the Laker pick. You do wonder next year, assuming LeBron retires, if Doncic gets hurt or sits out a bunch of games, what will that Laker pick look like? Well, it looked like something for somebody else now. The Jazz went all in on Jaren Jackson Jr. But you do wonder. But again, there's a team. Man, they could be in front of all 4 California teams next year, depending on how things break, PK. That doesn't take a lot of imagination.
I can buy that. We got to see.
We got to see how it works out. Yeah. DJ and PK.
College basketball.
Man, I saw this story while I was gone, and I want to make some phone calls on this. UVU's not paying the WAC $1 million to leave. Is that because they think, hey, the WAC's breaking up and we're not giving you money? No. In the Pac-12, that broke up, and there are only 2 teams left, but those 2 teams wanted their money, and they went to the mat to get it. UVU, not paying the money. They've got a $1 million buyout to move to the Big West next year. So the WAC has said you can't play in the conference tournament. You can't have the automatic bid to the NCAA basketball tournament. And now, because you're not a member in good standing, you can't even be on ESPN+. Taking away the streaming deal from them, PK. Take that.
So are they getting disfellowshipped or excommunicated?
I would say originally I would have categorized it as disfellowshipped when you can't go to the conference tournament. But excommunicated, you getting me on ESPN Plus? Taking away the streaming platform, man, that's another step.
Suppose they go to the conference tournament, what's going to happen?
They're not going to let them play.
Well, they can still go.
They're not going to let them play. I guess you could go.
Still go.
You want to go and buy a ticket? Okay, they'll take your money. I'm sure they'll take their money. They did beat Abilene Christian 68-55 here as they apparently play out the season.
Yeah, the dearly departed Jazz brother, twin brother, I believe, Taylor Hendricks' brother, had a big game.
A lineup of games. If you want to watch local college basketball teams, the games are spread out. It starts with Utah at number 11, Kansas at 12:30 on Fox. Kansas finding themselves, PK. That could be rough.
I would suspect it would be, yes.
Yeah. UT Arlington is at UVU at 2 o'clock. That Ute game is on Big Fox. Utah State's at Wyoming at 6 o'clock on the CBS Sports Network. I wonder how long before the Aggies go back to Laramie with those two in different leagues going forward.
Never.
Coverage on 1280 begins with Scotty G's pregame show, 5:30, tip-off at 6. CBS Sports Network has the TV. And then 8:30, ESPN, number 8 Houston at number 16 BYU. Well, we talked about it. They lost at Oklahoma State, then the pressure just grows. So, they lost at Oklahoma State, and here we are. How long
Well, we
will
had
the streak stretch out?
the offensive onslaught by two teams that have played BYU, and we had the offensive chance continue.
Yep.
Now I want to see something defensive. I've had enough of offensive. Now I want to see defensive because Houston is going to guard you like crazy, and if you don't return the favor, they could potentially smoke you like they've been doing.
Yeah, so in the last 5 games, BYU's given up 80 points or more 4 times, and they've lost 4 games. Guess which 4? You can pretty much figure that out.
2 in a row over 90.
Yep. DJ and PK.
Hashtag NFL.
Matthew Stafford named the NFL MVP. No surprise there. The coach of the year goes to New England. Mike Vrabel, plus 10 in the win column. Ties the NFL record. They are playing more games, but nonetheless, an impressive turnaround. I think there were other coaches who had really good years, but they didn't come from as far up the track. Horse racing reference for you, PK. They didn't come from as far up the track as New England, so Mike Vrabel gets the coach of the year.
Understandable.
Yep. Super Bowl kicks off Sunday, 4:30, NBC. Seattle favored by 4.5. I'm sure we'll get to this coming up as well and spend more time on this, PK. But Seattle is the favorite. I get it. I don't know many people who think New England is going to win unless they have a New England tie. I'll pick Seattle, but I don't know why people are quite so down on New England. It seems like either team could turn the ball over a few times and the game could go the other way. So if nothing else, that's sitting out there.
Yeah, I don't care about that. I'm just about the halftime performance.
No one believes that, PK, but thanks for saying it out loud, even though it's not true. Thought you were about truth.
I find it just, it's junior high in me, but I find it that the 66-year-old commissioner has to tell us and use the phrase Bad Bunny. For whatever reason, I find that humorous.
To see grown-ups saying Bad Bunny.
Yeah.
That's a Bad Bunny.
Bad Bunny.
Let's welcome Bad Bunny.
Why can't you be Good Bunny?
The NFL Hall of Fame class for 2026. Drew Brees, Larry Fitzgerald, Luke Kuechly, Adam Vinatieri, Roger Craig. Brees and Fitzgerald were in their first year of eligibility. Sure enough, Roger Craig on that senior ballot list sneaks in, even though the coach and the owner on the ballot didn't. The Patriots guys, Bill Belichick and Kraft, they didn't get in, but one of the 5 in the group did, and it's Roger Craig, who was a 3-time champ and had 1,000 yards rushing and 1,000 yards receiving in the same year. So there you go. He's in.
Worm well.
Larry Fitzgerald, you can attest to it. Arizona, the whole state loves him, as does the whole city of Pittsburgh because he played his college ball at Pitt.
Yeah, absolutely, man. He's a Valley favorite, no question about it. I went to the World Series, and there he was sitting right over to my left. He's everywhere. He was at the Phoenix Open. He was a buddy of John McCain's, and he just seemed to be someone that gets along with everyone, and obviously he was a phenomenal player. And plus, I saw a list of the quarterbacks he had to play with, and my gosh, it is not Steve Young and Joe Montana by any stretch.
No, it's a much longer list for starters. Certainly not as accomplished either. The Dallas Cowboys going to open the season in Rio, in Brazil. How about that? The Rams and Niners are going to Melbourne, and because of the travel, everyone expects that's week 1. Do they get a bye week 2 to come back? I mean, they get an extra day. They usually play on a Friday. So, jet lag.
I don't know what they're going to do.
Yeah, play those guys next. DJ and PK.
Hashtag college football.
$1 billion The SEC distributing $1 billion to 16 schools for the 2024-2025 fiscal year, which ended last August. The total jumped more than $200 million from the previous year. Obviously, they added Texas and Oklahoma. $72.4 million per school, up $18.6 million. So you got more money. Now spend it wisely. Good luck with that. The LA Bowl is shutting down after 5 editions of the game at SoFi Stadium. Nobody really wants to go to SoFi for a bowl game. I guess you couldn't get big enough teams to really entertain LA. So there you go. All over. That one's going away. DJ and PK.
Hashtag Major League Baseball.
Scuba wins, Tigers lose. Landmark arbitration case, $32 million. Tariq Skubal hits it big, PK.
Yeah, Yak and I were talking about this yesterday. They signed Detroit signed the Houston left-hander Valdez to something that was slightly more. And so we were talking about this, that once we saw that, there was no doubt in either of our minds that
how this was going to go.
The kid from Kingman, Arizona, was going to win the arbitration case. I think now with this money, he could buy 2 houses in Kingman, Arizona. You could buy probably 500 houses in Kingman, Arizona.
You can buy all of Kingman, Arizona.
Yeah, he's a heck of a player, so cash in while you can, man. Why not?
Yeah, you never know with the arm problems and all of that. Now, arbitration, this is just a 1-year deal. You figure, right. Does he end up a Dodger, a Met, or a Yankee?
Well, I think it's clear he wants to pitch for his home state team, so we know where that's going to end up.
Aha, but he also rooted for the Oakland Athletics because he was born in Hayward before he grew up in Kingman, so he's going to want to pitch for the Athletics in Vegas, so they're going to be paying money.
Actually, that would not be that far away. Kingman, having made that trip many, many times, is about 100 miles from downtown Vegas. So that would be his hometown team in terms of closest association.
Yeah. Indicted Guardians pitcher Emmanuel Clase is accused of throwing suspicious pitches to benefit bettors in at least 48 games over 2 years, significantly more than initially revealed by federal prosecutors. And he was good, PK. He had a chance to make big money. There's no way he could be getting what he could have made in a contract. It doesn't make any sense, but here we are.
Yeah, we see bad decisions sometimes. This is when you weigh risk-reward, and obviously that stuff is illegal anyway, so you shouldn't be doing it no matter what, under any circumstance. But if you look at it, consequence and reward, it's so far imbalanced that it really makes no sense because, yes, he was an outstanding pitcher, and now I would assume that he's going to go the Trevor Bauer route, and we'll never hear from him again in the MLB.
Yeah. It made me wonder, sitting in an airport killing time with nothing to do, did he make one small $5 bet and then they had him and pulled him in and he hated every second of it, but he figured he was compromised and busted after one small bet? And don't even start. I was trying to think of plausible ways that could escalate it, and maybe there is nothing to it. Maybe he just did it. Who knows?
Yeah, I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't either.
The line of thinking there.
Yeah. DJ and PK. The Milan Cortina Winter Olympic Games. We got the opening ceremonies coming up, right? But the hockey, due to a number of games and rinks and availability and all that, hockey has already started. USA women's hockey beats are we calling it Czechia now? Not the Czech Republic?
They go by Czechia.
Czechia gets hammered 5-1 by Team USA women's hockey. So there you go. Starting off the games with a W.
Czechia Rama?
Sure. Olympic opening ceremonies later tonight. Gear up. If you love parades, this is about as big a parade as you get right here. The whole Parade of Nations to kick things off. Slacker Radio Headlines brought to you by Trajan Wealth. Call Trajan Wealth today, your local trusted financial fiduciary. Call them at 801-210-6800 or visit their website at TrajanWealth.com. Coming up, Kevin Graham talking Super Bowl, 8 o'clock. David Locke talking Jazz at 8:30. 6:30, DJ and PK. We're talking Jazz next. That is the question of the day. A week long full of Jazz activity and NBA activity. We will get to it all right after the break. But first, John is here from J. Brooks Jewelers. And I suppose it's just pure coincidence that today is February 6th and Valentine's Day is February 14th, and you would be here in 8 days in advance of Valentine's Day.
I'm trying to help us out.
There it is. Help guys out. Don't have any ideas? Jewelry's always an idea, guys.
Well, you know, it's a big holiday for us not to mess up. Our sweethearts are expecting us to do something. Mm-hmm. Well, we're going to do something just for our daughters. And when I have 3 daughters, and now I have a couple of granddaughters, they're all expecting a little something from Dad, so we do a little something like that. But the most important person, of course, is your wife or your girlfriend or whoever that might be. Maybe you don't have one of those, so it's your mom. Whatever it is, we have something at J. Brooks that we have curated a collection that makes it for every different price point, whether you want to spend $75 to $100 on something fun for the girls, or you want to spend something that's a once-in-a-lifetime gift for your wife or girlfriend. We have those things also. And when you jump on the website at jbrooksjewelers.com, you just get a kind of a quick little insight, any specials that we have. And we have a new corner there that's what we call in the collection corner. Mm-hmm. So if you're looking for something that's real value, and I don't know if you've been paying attention to gold prices, but gold prices
I've heard they're up.
They're a little crazy. Last week they jumped all the way to $5,700. When I got married, they were $250, just to give us an idea. Mm-hmm. So we have a lot of things that are sitting there that were bought at $1,500, $2,000, $2,500 gold that are now marked down in a collection and marked down at 40, 50, 60% off. So there's also some really great values. So whatever the situation, wherever you are in life, and of course, a lot of guys, this is a great week to get engaged. And so for the guys who are getting engaged, even if you want to do something, if we get together today and tomorrow, there's still time to do some degree of customizing.
All right.
If we want to do something special that way too. So whatever your situation, J. Brooks Jewelers, Murray, Lehigh, and check us out at jbrooksjewelers.com. I think you'll find something that makes it really easy for you to be the hero. And don't mess this holiday up, as I've said many years. This is a great holiday to get right.
J. Brooks Jewelers. Check them out. Murray and Lehigh. DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Love is in the air, and the Zone is ready to help you become a Valentine's Day MVP. Listen to 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone, and online at KSLSports.com for your chance to win 2 Grande Minky Couture blankets. Keep it locked on the KSL Sports Zone and be Valentine's MVP. Presented by Minky Couture on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
The KSL Sports Zone and Beehive Meals are honoring people that impact youth sports in our communities. Nominate the youth sports volunteer for the Beehive Meals Hero of the Week, KSLSports.com/contest. And listen every Thursday afternoon to JJ and Alex for the winner. It's the Beehive Meals Hero of the Week. PK. The Utah Jazz had a busy week. Players coming, players going. You got the question up at Facebook. What is your evaluation of the Jazz moves this week? I thought, Steve, I like the way he started. First 2 words, like them, exclamation point. I would go with like them, not love them, but the exclamation point is because I really do like them. I just feel like there's a lot of moving parts still to play out before I declare I love this, but I could easily see it working out that way. But what I really care about is what's that lineup going to look like on opening night, and how is it going to stack up with everybody else? And there's just so many question marks in that area. This move was clearly made not with this season in mind, but with next season. But I think this is a big step in the right direction. And, I mean, we've talked basketball for a long time. And I remember you saying once, we had it was when who's better, Magic or Stockton was a thing. I were in a room and you pointed at me and you go, he's always going to pick the bigger guy. And I looked at you and I was like, yeah. That's going to be true 99 times out of 100. I mean, I'll pick Steph Curry. I'm not a moron. So, okay, he's the exception. But, yeah, I'm going to pick the bigger basketball team. Now, they haven't re-signed Kessler yet, and we can get into that. We'll just set that aside for a second and get back to that. But the fact that they could have Kessler out there and Jackson out there and Markkanen out there, and you're going to sub, you could always have 2 7-footers on the court. And then if you're playing Ace Bailey or if you're playing Cody in there, You got another long, athletic guy who might be swooping in from behind and blocking shots while you're trying to negotiate a 7-footer in front of you. The only time I've seen a team really run out 3 7-footers and play them big minutes together was when the Lakers beat the Jazz in the playoffs 3 times in 4 years in the Darren Williams, Carlos Boozer era. That size, that was a very skilled Jazz basketball team, but it wasn't the biggest or most athletic. And the Lakers were. And you saw what that size and athleticism did. And I think those 3 guys are not only big, I think they're athletic. So the thought that that could be the starting line, we got to see how it plays out, I know. Contract negotiations and restricted free agency and all of that. But the fact that they went out there and that's what they value and that's what they were able to go get, man, I really like that. And you know from talking to me for 20 years what I was going to say. He's going to go for the bigger guy. He better not reject that 7-foot lineup now.
Yeah, the Lakers had another guy. I think it was Kobe Bryant too. So
they did.
He was pretty good.
Yeah, right.
So you can have you can have 8-footers as long as you got Kobe Bryant. You got a shot to win. I think that this move is a 10 out of 10.
There it is.
I'm going Bo Derek. As Bill Frieder's assistant said, if you think Bo Derek is a 10, you should see this guy. And Frieder, who was one-minded type guy, said, forget about this guy. Go recruit me Bo Derek. He thought Bo Derek was a man. So it's a great line back.
Bo Derek, Bo Jackson, right? He must be a player. I haven't seen the kid, but he must be a player.
Bo Bichette for the
another Bo. Nice, yes.
Now. Yeah, so the reason why I think it's a 10 out of 10, it's not, I want to say, has nothing to do with Jaren Jackson, because obviously he's the centerpiece and the moves that they made, everything is around him, right?
Yep.
The reason why I'm ecstatic about this is because we've endured 4 on purpose losing seasons.
Yep.
And now we are done with that. Now we still got 30, 29 games, whatever it is to go now. But that's fine. They have sent the message. A new pope has been elected. Smoke signals went up. And now we're done. We will be winning as much as we possibly can. So the overriding message that is being sent supersedes to me the individual players who have come, players who have gone, draft choices who were acquired in prior years, draft choices who were used to be acquired players this year that have left the organization as far as having that asset or those assets available to them are all done. And this is Austin Age being extremely aggressive and going for the opportunity to win. If you are a fan, and the majority of our listeners are to one degree or another fans, or else you probably wouldn't be listening, you want your team to try to win. That is the essence, whether it be high school and you can go into Little League and all that stuff. You want to win. The intoxication of winning is a drug that cannot be purchased, but yet we've all experienced it at various levels, whether it's through individual hitting a good golf shot, or being, even if you're on a rec softball team, whatever it is. The intoxication of winning is universal, and the Jazz fans have not had that for 4 years. Once you become a sports fan, you are guaranteeing yourself heartbreak. But it's like getting a dog. You know the dog is going to live 10 years. That dog is going to love you in a manner that you have never experienced before, and every single day is a great day to the dog when he sees the people that love him. And then at the end of the 10 years, it will be an awful state of departure. So you buy into that. And the Jazz, they have not been able to buy into the good times, Jazz fans I'm speaking to. Now, going forward, I don't know to what extent the good times are going to happen in 26, 27. None of us do. But we do know from heretofore, as they say in gobbledygook language, that at this point on, this team is trying to win. Every move is going to be dictated with the premise of winning. And when winning now. That's why I elevate this to a 10 out of 10 under the circumstances. If you would have said that this was a good team
before the Boozer and Williams era when they were good, and even most recently with the guys that they had. They brought in Bogdanovich. Okay, well, on his own, Bogdanovich was a decent player and he fit in well. I wouldn't have said that was a 10 out of 10. No, he helped them and he was a good player. Good, made the team better, but we didn't go crazy. The reason why I want to go crazy is it goes beyond Jaren Jackson Jr.'s playing ability, which is substantial. We have issues with his rebounding. I have issues with his salary. Is going to be a $50 million a year player, so you have to get that type of production. But I just like the signaling that it sends is that we're done, people, and from here on out, we're going to strive to have good times. And I care about the fans, right? I'm not going to have Hatbacks kind of money. I'm not going to have these players kind of money. I'm not going to have the coaches kind of money. I don't understand how that would work. I can't comprehend having no financial worries at any point now going forward. That's what they've got. Good for them. My contention and representation is from the fan base, and the fan base now can feel good about the franchise trying to win again.
I think they're going to pass some teams in the standings next year. How many remains to be seen. That'll be part of the fun next year. But, man, some of them are definitely in the rearview mirror. A bunch of them are probably in the rearview mirror. I'm expecting a big step forward. The only disappointment in this is that all that debate about we could have had about whether I'm shooting too high with 40 wins or Tim's shooting too high with 45, we're all going to have to recalibrate. This roster looks like it's going to be a lot better next year. And we got to figure out what the West looks like before we get too crazy about this. But the arrow is way up. If you want an old school song for this, PK, because I know you love to have songs and themes and all that, Dylan, the times they are a-changing. But if you want something more recent, something the kids are listening to, I don't want to go with the song that's hitting the charts from Gunna featuring Burna Boy. I don't really want to get into that. Yock probably knows all about that. Yock's rolling his eyes like, you're not really going there, are you, DJ? No, I'm going to Morgan Wallen. I'm going country for PK. Doesn't he have a song out? I Got Better. The Jazz just got better.
To me, all my music is wrapped up in one artist, and of course that is Billie Eilish. That's the one that I am excited about.
Okay.
And for the Jazz, they can, if they got to go over the cap now, everything that's involved in winning, and we know the parameters for winning, right? They're all out there, right? We understand what winning teams do as far as the finances and all, and what is required to win, right? We have a basic idea, the premise of winning teams, what it costs, and the investment that you will make. And now they're going to do all of that.
I know.
I'm not saying they're going to win the West or any of that.
We can't know that yet.
Process that's going to be developed, and we'll see about the draft pick and some other moves.
Yep.
Austin Ainge did not come here to lose. He just didn't, right? And, I had some communication with him, and he's talking about how busy everything is. And once he told me that the word was swamped, I knew something's coming down. I didn't know what. Certainly not intimating that, boy, I knew Jaren Jackson was on the table and the Jazz were going to get him. I did not. But I knew that, all right, this is an aggressive, young, basically, I don't know what his title is. I just call him general managers. He's a young, aggressive guy, and he is a brilliant basketball mind. I can speak to that through discussions in locker rooms and on the court and on the phone and at airports back when he was in his early 20s. And so this guy is not going to try to take a backseat to anyone. And so I knew something was coming down, and multiple things have come down. And they gave up these draft picks, which were so precious to them, rightly so. And they realized, and they knew this all along, it's not that they needed to some come to Jesus moment. They already knew it. Hey, that's why we've got these draft picks. The likelihood of drafting everybody with these picks was unlikely, and they knew that those are big-time assets, and it can help them get better and improve. So they parted with them. It's every sign that I see in the last 48 to 72 hours shows we're in. The Vegas pushed the chips in. And for me as a sports fan, that's exactly what I want to hear, what I want to see. And we got it. Now we get to see how it is. And then next year when we come in and the Jazz lose 121 to 119 to the Hawks or win 121 to 119, we can evaluate it legitimately.
Right.
It's pointless to evaluate last night's game when Nurkic doesn't play. Markkanen's a cheerleader in the fourth quarter. It's basically an exhibition game. We get that. Well, next year, we're done. They're going to sit some guys. Not everybody's going to play 82. I understand that. But the idea is they're going to win. And I would venture to say, going forward, now, there's 3 reasons why Markkanen wouldn't play in the fourth quarter. 1, he's hurt. 1, they're killing a team. Or 1, they're getting slaughtered. I can't think of any other reason. And as a fan, that's what I want to see. I'm a fan of competition. Now, we had competition last night. I'm not saying we didn't. All those guys on both teams were balling as hard as they could. So that was plenty fine for me. But I can't speak to what Atlanta's trying to do because I don't know and I don't care. But for the Jazz, we know what they're trying to do. And we know my Markkanen was over there not playing. Well, that's over, man. That leads me to have so much excitement that I'm eagerly underline that, anticipating the 26-27 season.
DJ PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. More on the Utah Jazz and their future with David Locke at 8:30. We're talking Super Bowl. Kevin Graham is here at the top of the hour, 15 minutes away, right here on the Zone. Join Scotty G today, noon to 3 at the Grill, 2264 South Main Street in Nephi. I was talking to him about that. He goes, yep, the freezer's getting empty. So he's down at Bar WB. If you can join him today, noon to 3. PK, big game Saturday night. BYU and Houston, number 8, number 16. Momentum can change quickly in college basketball. The Cougars had it. They were rolling. They were flying. They've lost 3 in a row, and 4 out of 5, 3 of them to ranked teams. I know it doesn't feel very good right now, but it can turn around if they can defend, because defending has been a problem the last couple weeks.
Well, sure. I mean, you can say that about every team. They can turn it around if this or that, whatever the particular ailment is. It's a question of will it, can it? You know, it's, you can if it all you want, but is it in their ability? Do they have what it takes to be that at least some form of resistance? And the early part of the game against Oklahoma State was an embarrassment of just soft, extremely soft turnovers. Come on. You can clean that up at least, and that will help your defense, because anytime you have turnovers in the open court, you're obviously far more susceptible to giving up high percentage shots from the opponent, as opposed to turnovers that are out of bounds. Say you charge and that's considered a turnover, but you allow your defense to get set. So eliminate those or reduce those as much as possible. Don't be so careless. Be strong with the ball. Steve Cleveland used to talk about conference play versus non-conference play. And in non-conference play, you know, you're a little looser and you have opportunities to make up for any error or deficiency earlier in the game. In conference play, he would talk about possessions, and literally each possession has to be valued at a high level because the intensity in conference play goes up dramatically. Oklahoma State had a chance to really turn the corner on its season by beating BYU, and they did. Hence, the students and others coming onto the floor after the game. If they beat Utah, the students aren't coming out onto the floor onto the game. If they beat Arizona State, the students aren't coming out on the floor after the game. We understand that, right? And so that is what you're facing. And now you have to match that intensity, and that didn't happen. And go ahead and do it. It's not like the season will get away, but expectations then, by their own acknowledgement, they start to wonder and doubt creeps in. And what do you got? And Yak and I were talking about this yesterday, that does Devonsa get to the point where, man, I'm just here for a few weeks, basically a few months, and then I'm on to the NBA. So I got to make sure I worry about that. Richie Saunders too. Hey, I got to show well before this in front of the scouts because I'm a borderline NBA player and I got to do everything I can. You don't want that. You want that team all bought into winning this year. So each of these games, literally each possession, needs to be valued far more than it is on both ends of the floor, obviously.
I get that mindset, and I get why you and Locke would have that discussion. I would have joined right in if I hadn't been on vacation. But, man, you got a bunch of guys who worked in the pros, and I can get you ready for the pros is the pitch. We've been told that a million times. You think all the scouts showing up at these games, and, man, Houston's got a high draft pick too, unless they got a couple. So there ought to be – how many scouts, Locke, have you heard? I don't know,
I'm guessing
20?
it'll be in the dozens because they have two players, Cenac and Kingston Flemings on Houston's side, and then you got AJ and Richie.
So you think those scouts aren't going to be looking at how BYU handles the ball and how BYU defends and how Devonsa defends and how Saunders? I mean, they for multiple reasons, now's the time they got to step up. And they could be coming off a game where turnovers are the issue. You know they're getting preached at. You know they're getting told you got to knock it off. And you also know that Houston is among the national leaders. They force 15 turnovers a game. So they are waiting. You're soft with the ball. You're weak with the ball. They're going to pick your pocket, and they're going to go the other way. That's how they make their living. So they're coming for it. All right, DJ, PK, we're joined in studio right now by John from J. Brooks Jewelers because Valentine's Day is 1 week from tomorrow. And you mentioned this in the last segment. If you want to customize something, as long as it's a little, not a lot, there's a chance. And also you have a lot of heirloom pieces, pieces that weren't passed down inside the family. So maybe there's something special, different. It'll really click when you see it. Just got to go to one of your two locations and take a look and see what appeals to you.
And if you want to start, a lot of people like to do a little research before they come in because it is such a big holiday. It's such an important thing to get something fun that your sweetheart's going to love. Mm-hmm. So at jbrooksjewelers.com, our website's an easy place to start. We have a brand new person who is adding daily pieces every single day. And so whether it be from the collection of J. Brooks that we've gathered together with our buying team, which is all female, I might add, so women know what women want. Or two, whether you come into the end of collection, which is on the website, which shows all kinds of great values. Or three, the vintage pieces, which have come into us from different families, different circumstances, things that are kind of a retro piece out of the 80s and 90s or pieces that go all the way back to the 1920s. So whether we want to do something that's very current and stylish, which you can, again, check. If you go to our Instagram at jbrooksjewelers, you'll see that gives you kind of a little insight. Sometimes as guys, it's a little overwhelming. I don't know about you, but buying clothes for my wife, woo. No, thank you.
This is why there are gift certificates.
Oh, my gosh. But jewelry is something that you can come in and pick and choose and kind of, once we get to know her a little bit, we also will help you. She already has this, she already has that. This would be a great asset to match with that. So once you let us get one of our stylists with you, our entire team is female. They're so good at helping the guys shop and to make you look really good. Our job is to make you look good. Mm-hmm. It's a guy listening, and for the ladies listening, to make sure that the guys get what you want. And if for some reason we have a disconnect, we will exchange and fix that. The custom part is easy. If you want to add a band and you want to do something to match your 5 kids, and you want to have 5 stones. And you want to have it we have it in white, but you want it in yellow. A lot of times those things can be done really quickly. So with customizing those kind of simple things, parts that are already in place, it's just a matter of getting your metal, your number of stones, those kind of things, pretty easy to do. And still in time for Valentine's Day, which is a great holiday. We also, with every purchase, we have, just to make it easy for you for one stop, we have chocolate. Every purchase comes with a dozen roses, so you can pick out and have that right.
Whoa. This is important information. What are you doing holding on? John, you got to lead with this. Right. Let's go.
This is the hat trick. We're going to give you.
Nice.
Very simple. We're going to give you the chocolate we have for you. We have the roses, and, of course, we have the jewelry. So when you come home, you are the hero, which is our job. And you want to do that because Valentine's Day is a day you just don't want to mess up, and our job is to make you look good.
Valentine's Day, 1 week from tomorrow. J. Brooks Jewelers has the jewelry, has the chocolate, has the flowers. Visit them online at jbrooksjewelers.com. DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Join Scotty G Tuesday. He's going to be at My Hearing Center, noon to 3. My Hearing Center, 8941 South, 700 East in Sandy.
Huh?
Huh?
My hearing center. Get it?
I got it. DJ, PK, KG, Kevin Graham. Good morning, Kevin.
Hello. I can barely hear as well. I think it's a radio thing, by the way. You know, you wear headphones, earplugs, or earpieces, your whole life. So my left ear is about dead. So I'm heading out there. I'll fly in. All right. So.
All right. Have you made the trip? You've been to Costco. You stocked up on the chips and on the dip. You prepared yourself for a massive pregame show, and then the last 3 hours of football for a few months.
No, but I will be watching football for the last 3 months. Yeah. No, I got not diagnosed per se, but my blood pressure is really high, is what a doctor told me last week, which is a new thing. So I've decided that with all the snow here in lovely Charlotte, North Carolina, where I currently reside, I'm driving 4 hours south to go to Hilton Head, which is a little island, and I'm going to do what everybody does to lower blood pressure, and that's play golf for 4 days. So I'm really looking forward to that because, golf will totally, just because I'm so great at it, it will relax me. So, yeah. So, but no, I will be ready and willing and watching the game. I'm very excited. Well, I'm bittersweet, actually, because, the season's coming to an end. That means I'm not going to be a regular on Fridays with you guys anymore. So I'm a little sad in that regard, but I'm hopeful for a good game. So that's all we can hope for. And I'm very excited in seeing Bugs Bunny's halftime show because that's going to be a lot of fun as well. The Looney Tunes, that's when cartoons were like at the top. You know what I mean? Like Bugs and Elmer Fudd and Gen Zers, look that up. That's when cartoons were at the top. So I'm very excited for the Bugs Bunny halftime show.
I get their new cartoons, but I can't believe that stuff isn't more available somewhere in the 5 billion channel universe, and with everything streaming, the fact that there's a generation growing up without hearing Wascally Wabbit drives me nuts.
I know, man. Elmer Fudd and Sylvester and Tweety and Coyote and chasing down the Roadrunner. And of course, and you're not going to find a couple of them because, there's a couple that probably should have been canceled, like Speedy Gonzalez and Pepe Le Pew. So, yeah, those two you probably don't want to search out. But all the other ones were pretty fun.
I'm wondering if you have an internal conflict because obviously you took a shot at my guy Bad Bunny, and you are a big Kid Rock fan, and I know that you're extreme left, but the alternative to Bad Bunny is Kid Rock is putting on. I don't know exactly where it's going to be on, but he's doing a halftime show. So how do you reconcile that?
Well, I hate politics, and so I take the politics out. I am annoyed the fact that it's so political. Where we got Bad Bunny, gonna do his show and everything on the left side, and then Kid Rock is a right side, and he's going to be on Turning Point USA, I think, is where I saw. But no, I'll have one on the TV, which I'll probably have Bad Bunny, and then I'll have Kid Rock on the phone too. And I just like the music, at least Kid Rock's music. I only had 2 years of Spanish, so I'm not really sure how much I'm going to actually recognize of Bad Bunny singing. But I remember uno, dos, tres, cuatro, cinco, seis. So if he counts up to 6, I'll know that. All right, I'll be good there. So I remember my 2 years of high school Spanish.
I got numbers and colors, and after that, I probably have 50 random words, and then I'm done.
Yeah, it's fine. Look, it's great. I mean, whatever. It's entertainment, and I'm all about entertainment. So I do though, and that's one thing about the Super Bowl that I don't like is I love that it should be a national holiday and we should all have Monday off afterwards, but that's besides the point. It's just so big, and for us diehards, us old schoolers, I do like football, so that's why I really don't do parties like I used to and all that. I want to watch the game, and so my hope is that the game is at least as entertaining as all the craziness around it will be.
The Sam Darnold thing is something that is really fun to look at his career, right? He comes out of San Clemente, which that area down there in Southern California is a powerhouse for putting out quarterbacks. His high school, John Beck's son, is the starting high school quarterback at the same high school that Darnold went to. SC, what was he, the third pick?
Yep,
and
third pick.
It's just flounder. A little bit in Minnesota, and then they let him go. Obviously, they got the other kid from Michigan.
And then we know to Seattle. Then Seattle was a 10-win team, but Geno Smith wasn't viewed as good enough in Seattle's minds, and clearly they make the right decision. How do you explain the Sam Darnold phenomenon? And now I think they're going to win. And if that's the case, then he's going to be a Super Bowl winning quarterback. And he was thought of as a protege, but then he was thought of as a bum, and now he's back on top. It's almost like in a way, it's a Kurt Warner type story. Kurt's obviously was a little more dramatic, but it's something that I find fascinating.
And I followed it. I mean, I was in Dallas when he got drafted. I was at that draft. I attended the press conference. And as you guys know, and if any long-term listeners know, I'm a huge Jets fan. So here we were drafting out the quarterback. But, the downfall for him is, and a lot of it is just what organization is picking you. He was only 20 years old, and he only had played 2 years of college football. So when he goes to the Jets, who immediately needed a quarterback to play right away, at 20 years old, in the Big Apple, in New York, in an organization that's one of the worst in professional sports in the entire world, it was just not a fit. And he gets thrown in, he struggles, he doesn't get the coaching he needs. And then, Carolina, that was a dumpster fire as well. Finally, San Francisco, I think, is when finally he could settle in. And again, you're talking now he's 24, maybe 25, something like that, maybe 25 probably when he was in San Francisco. Now he goes with a coach that knows how to coach a quarterback. He was a backup, had no pressure. He actually got to learn. And then what's he do? He goes to Minnesota with another good coach that knows quarterbacks, has a good system, has good players around him, plays really well, does have a meltdown in his last 2 games, one being the last game of the regular season and then the playoffs as well. But then, he goes, Minnesota says, well, we drafted a young quarterback. We're going to keep him. We're going to go with him. And that failed miserably for Minnesota due to injuries with J.J. McCarthy. And now he ends up in Seattle in another great situation where he has playmakers and a system around him. I think being an NFL copycat league, and I don't know if it's going to happen now because pressure now, not only from ownership, a lot of these owners don't know what the hell they're doing and throw all this money at these teams, coaches trying to save their rear ends, fans because we're so impatient, we want our teams to win. But the end game to me, what we're learning, and if the NFL's smart with the copycat of the way NFL typically works, you've got to be patient with these younger quarterbacks. I mean, Patrick Mahomes didn't play his first year. And I know these days it's harder, but just think of it from a common sense standpoint. You're a terrible team. I mean, we're going to see it with the Raiders when they draft Mendoza, and they're probably going to throw him in right away. And what's going to happen? He's going to suck, and he's going to struggle. And some guys, like a Peyton Manning, the great ones, can survive that. Peyton Manning was terrible in his first year with the Colts. Some of these players can survive that, but other ones can't. And so, and particularly if you're not surrounded by a good team around you. So, in the world where none of us are patient, patience to me is the way to go with younger quarterbacks like this. I mean, look at our days, man. These guys would sit for 3, 4, 5. Steve Young's a Hall of Famer and didn't play for how many years because he was down, he was behind Joe Montana. I mean, the list goes on of guys that sat and learned and got some experience and learned from a veteran quarterback in front of them. And by the way, the team still sucks, so they were able to draft better players. Then if you do like New England where you get some good free agents to come into play too, and now you're surrounded by a team when it's time for this quarterback to step up and perform. And I'm happy for Sam Darnold. One enemy's bitter. It's like, God, I wish he could do that for the Jets. But the other part of me is like, the Jets suck. They're a train wreck. So he got wronged. And so I love the fact that he's turned it around, and now he's got a chance not only to win the Super Bowl, but, if I was a betting man, which means I'm totally going to lose this bet, but I would say he's the favorite for MVP as well, because if Seattle's going to win, he's obviously going to be an instrumental part of that.
I get the argument that this game is really big for Darnold, right? Because it's the proverbial Steve Young monkey off my back. I can do it. I have done it. I'm holding the Super Bowl trophy. That's a massive story. But isn't it also a massive story for May? A guy at his age getting his first Super Bowl on a team that looks like it has rock-solid ownership. It looks like they've got a rock-solid coach. They got more than $30 million of cap money next year. A chance to repeat, a chance to be a multi-Super Bowl winner, Hall of Famer. I mean, he could really, it's not like he's kicking off his career. He's played in the NFL, but I mean, he could really put some jet fuel in his career and the arc of his career with a win in this game.
Oh, there's no doubt about that. I mean, and again, I hate the Patriots as a Jets fan. I despise the fact that they only sucked for 2 years and they're back in a Super Bowl again. But a lot of that credit goes to Drake May and the way he's performed. Now, with that said, he's still young. He's taken 15 sacks in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. There are issues there. I think he has not played that well, quite frankly, in the play. Exactly. And the other thing, too, and I don't want to demean the Patriots because you play what's in front of you. If you look at their schedule, guys, they only played in the regular season 3 teams with a winning record. 3 of their 17 games had winning. And guess what? They were 1-2 in those games. They beat the Bills once, lost to the Bills, and they lost to the Steelers. That's it. So they also got the benefit of a great schedule. Now, they get in the playoffs and win the games they need to play. Again, sometimes it's luck. Well, let's face it, C.J. Stroud's a terrible quarterback. Houston's offense was inept, so they beat them. Then they get Stidham, and they beat them. I mean, the Chargers do what you do, DJ, like the L.A. Chargers. Herbert, I mean, he's a great quarterback, but they had a ton of injuries all year long and probably weren't the legit force of a playoff team as you would expect going in. And so they did get a good road to the Super Bowl, and they're there. I think what's going to be interesting to see is how he, being Drake May, and the Patriots in general, just performed being in that light. The same thing with Seattle, too. I talked to some media types I know that were covering the teams, this week, and I actually had 2 different people tell me that the opinion they got of just talking to players and whatnot, and again, who knows whether they're reading it right, is that Seattle seems super focused and dialed in. The Patriots kind of have that big eye look about them, like their eyes are blown up, like, oh my gosh, look what we're in, because obviously they had no expectations to get there, where Seattle at least, had some and thought that they could challenge at least for a division title, where the Patriots were just hoping to get to 500 or a little bit above 500. So I don't know, we'll see how it breaks down. But yeah, I mean, that's what disgusts me. New England is going to be really good because they do have a franchise quarterback. They do have a great coach who just got Coach of the Year honors. They do have really good ownership. They do have cap money, like you just said. They have a system in play. They are a championship franchise, unfortunately, and they're going to be really good going forward. I am going to be curious of how they do next year when they actually play a first-place schedule, but, still – you're right. They have it all laid out. But sometimes, too, that could go against you because he is so young and he's going to be in this league for many, many years and have opportunities probably going forward to get to a Super Bowl as well and win some.
Yeah, that's the way I look at it with New England. They're just getting started. I don't believe at the pro level anybody plays with house money. I never bought that expression, but I don't think there's an enormous amount of pressure on these guys because if they lose, as long as they don't get beat 48-0, they can look at it and say, wow, we had a really good season and we're just getting started. New coach, young quarterback, blah, blah, blah. And so the expectation with the folks in New England will be, we'll be knocking on the door. You never know if you can get back. So we can go from that standpoint and go forward here with that in mind, which is why I sort of, from the psychological standpoint, not just like the betting favorite, but from the mindset, I think that Seattle is more of the favorite because I think Seattle is expecting to win. I wonder if New England is really expecting to win, if they're just caught up in being there. But at the same token, you've got a veteran coach who's a tough guy and all that. And over there for the Seahawks, it's like this new breed of coach, right? A young guy that not a lot of people knew about and the mind and all that. And it seems like, and that's my question, is that what we're going to see now going forward? These guys that maybe didn't play at the highest level, but they come from the analytical, almost to the point of being savants when it comes to the brain capacity to have the knowledge to run a team. Do you think that that's something that if Seattle does win with this great season that they've had, that's the way we'll go and we'll start seeing more of these types of people getting these types of head coaching jobs?
I think that's a great point. I mean, I'm just looking down the list of the 10 coaches that were hired this offseason. I mean, you look at Stefanski, Mike LaFleur of Arizona. Dude, he was run out of town as the offensive coordinator of the Jets after 2 years. And then a couple of years later, he's now a head coach in the NFL. I mean, which is amazing. Jesse Minter, Joe Brady, Munkin from Cleveland, Kubiak. I mean, these are guys that outside of John Harbaugh, who's been there a long time, Jeff Hafley in Miami, Saleh, who was a terrible coach with the Jets and now getting a second chance. I mean, I think you bring up a good point. I think you are going to get a lot of guys because, again, being the copycat league that it is they're going to get guys that not only the analytics, but have the balance, have the old school football in them, but also utilize the analytics to be able to fuel, what players they go after, how they draft, how the organization runs, how they prepare. I think all that is in play, as you go forward.
Our poll question, Kevin, I just put it up. We're about 50 votes in here. Who wins the Super Bowl? Seahawks big. They cover -4.5. That's 2/3 of the voters, 67%. Yeah. Seahawks in a squeaker, another 17%. 8% for the Patriots and 8% for anybody who wants to golf. Tee times, baby. Let's go get them. The weather's good. You said you were going to golf. I just checked,
well,
PK.
Not during the Super Bowl.
Well, I just checked. Like, there's if you want to get onto Bonneville, there's like 2 slots open at 3:10 and 3:20 or something. Like even Rose Park.
Oh, there you go.
Pretty much booked up. That's usually a course. Maybe has a little more availability. Nope. People are over the Seahawks and Patriots. They're golfing. Look at our February weather. All right,
yes,
Kevin.
Yes.
We appreciate it as always. You're the man. Thank you.
No problem, guys. I appreciate you too, and Jake as well. You guys have a great Super Bowl Sunday. Always here to talk whenever you need me.
Okay, we'll talk to you, Kevin. All right. Thank you. Kevin Graham, there he is, joined us all season long talking about the National Football League and the Utes and the Cougars. We're joined right now by John from J. Brooks Jewelers. He is here to talk about Valentine's Day, which is 1 week from tomorrow. If you need a gift, jewelry is always a good idea. You can get flowers and chocolate when you're there. And, John, a lot of people, they think gold, silver, diamonds. But you were telling me last hour that there's actually a lot of options now. Rubies, sapphires, you got heirloom jewelry. So you really need to go to the website and check some stuff out, but really get in the store and see the pieces in person and see what you think.
Yeah, and you can take any of these things and create any way you want. The one thing about that has changed over the last decade is that with computer aiding design, all the girls who come in, I would say 7 out of 10 want to custom make what they want for their engagement ring. And so we've created a whole collection called the JBJ collection, where we have a whole collection of one-of-a-kind pieces that are done, that are finished and ready to go. So if you want to surprise her with something, there are some things that are done and ready that are unique, one-of-a-kinds that are done here in the store. If she wants something that she's been seeing online, which is where it all comes from, Pinterest is our biggest helper and foe at the same time, but it would be color. So ruby and sapphire, what makes them particularly great is that they're really hard, so they can be worn every day. And they don't scratch very easily, and so they're just a beautiful gemstone. And particularly blue sapphire is such a neutral color; it goes with everything we're wearing. People love jeans, and so it's just a natural tie with that. And so with the Montana sapphire coming on, there's so many great options in color: pinks and greens and lavenders, and these teal is been a very strong color the last few years. So you're not limited to the traditional. My wife wants a solitaire. My girlfriend. There's just so many good options. So when you jump online, you can see a lot of those displayed. And then when you come into the store, you get to touch and hold and feel and see these colors, see if that talks to you. If not, there's never been a better time to buy a diamond. I was telling you in one of the breaks that diamonds are down in some categories 50% or prices from 1985 when I first started. And the lab-grown diamonds are from when they started 11 years ago, they're 90 to 95% cheaper. So if you're in the market, if you're thinking, what do I want to do with gold up? Trust me, with the diamonds down, you're ahead in the game still. And this is a perfect time to do that. So just jump on jbrooksjewelers.com or on our Instagram, kind of see what we're doing, the flavor. And at some stage, bring her, come in, look and see, and we'll have something for you for Valentine's Day to make it easy for you. Again, we have chocolate. We have a dozen roses, and, of course, we have the jewelry, so the hat trick, the trifecta of what we're doing.
John, J. Brooks Jewelers. Check them out in Murray and Lehigh and online at jbrooksjewelers.com.
Love is in the air, and the Zone is ready to help you become a Valentine's Day MVP. Listen to 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone, and online at KSLSports.com for your chance to win 2 Grande Minky Couture blankets. Keep it locked on the KSL Sports Zone and be Valentine's MVP. presented by Minky Couture on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Don't miss your chance to win every week. You can win big on the KSL Sports Zone. This week, you can win tickets to see Brian Reagan at the Delta Center on Saturday, February 14th. Get your tickets today at SeatGeek.com or listen to the KSL Sports Zone all day Wednesday for your chance to win. It has been an enormous week for the Utah Jazz. They've lost some games and stayed on track. Did win one. Stayed on track to hold on to the draft pick and also made the trade for Jaren Jackson Jr. So, the rebuild, we're entering a new phase. Say goodbye to 4 years of tanking after they get done tanking the last couple dozen games here. And then get ready for more winning in the fall. How much more winning is an excellent question. How much more winning depends on multiple things. Does Walker Kessler get signed? How much does he cost? How much money they have to go get somebody else? We're joined right now by David Locke, radio voice of the Utah Jazz. David, feels like a big step forward was just taken, and the next question is, what comes next? What's the next step in roster building for the next season?
You can't even just cherish and enjoy a mammoth, monumental step. You got to know what's next already.
Yes, because I know something is next.
Be in the moment, David James. Be there. Feel the moment. Be now. Not always yearning or wanting.
No, now is Lauri Markkanen sitting his butt on the bench and being a good guy, whether he wants to or not, and watching him lose a game. That's now. I can't wait for the next 30 to go. I'm super intrigued by what they're going to do with this team going forward, because you're right, there is a lot to cherish in this trade. The possibility, and I know Kessler has to be signed, and he's restricted free agent, and we'll get to that, but the thought of the 3 7-footers, that is a ton of size, behind guys who can be pretty good defenders, Ace Bailey, Cody Williams, size and length and the way the Jazz have, and athleticism and the way the Jazz haven't had it before. So who else are they going to have? I want to know. I'm ready. I'm ready to transport myself to next October.
There's a great deal of excitement, and this is super that, yes, this era of, as I said on Locked on Jazz, the witch is dead. We have the witch's obituary written, and it's over, and it ends on April 12th, thank God. And I think we are all very excited for the process to move forward into the next stage. So, this is incredible. I don't know the next stages. I mean, I think this is iteration 1. It's not perfect, but it's a huge step. It's a massive commitment. I don't think they have enough ball handling. I think they're a little short on shooting. I think it will be interesting to see what they can do defensively. Like, are they great defensively, or are they incredibly slow in transition? And it's a problem. I just think there's a lot of discovery that has to be made. How much can Will Hardy's system bring? We've created 2 players in the last 4 years who become most improved players in the NBA under Will. Like, does he have something else up his sleeve? Is there a way that he's going to be able to accentuate Jaren Jackson the way he accentuated Lauri Markkanen? Jackson's not enough. The numbers don't have Jaren Jackson as a very good off-ball player, a very good pick-and-roll player. Offensively, he's much more of an isolation driver, or he's actually quite a good spot-up shooter. And so how do you integrate him? I think that's going to be very complicated. I think the offensive side is going to be really complicated and going to take some massaging and some real work from Will. That maybe Jaren Jackson, if Ace Bailey takes a jump, Jaren Jackson's your 4th option offensively. And how's Jaren Jackson feel about that? He's been the number 1 or 2 option kind of a lot of the time in Memphis and taking 20-plus shots a night, and not quite, but scoring 22. And so I think there's a lot of pieces of this that it's all theoretical right now. And then I think what gets tricky, to your point in the offseason, is, like, are you trying to complement this group in some way without having really ever seen it play together, right? Because Walker's the key piece, and you're not going to see Walker in this. And so, like, does Austin Ames go to the offseason trying to make moves to even accelerate this a little bit? Or do you actually just go and say, okay, we're going to watch this for 5 months and try to figure out what's working, what's not, and then make some moves? Or there's some real moves you're trying to make? Now, we're pretty limited, by the way. You're paying 2 guys $50. Walker's coming in somewhere between 20 and 30. Keontae seems to be maybe on the pace to coming in somewhere between 30 and 40. That's too much. And you're not – I don't think you're signing guys in the offseason to 2 or 3 year deals unless they're on the minimum. Because you're going to get – next year's going to be fine, but the year after gets super tight. And then Ace Bailey, luckily, doesn't need to be extended till after Jaren Jackson and Lowry's contracts are done, so you'll have to figure that out then.
What is Kessler's bargaining power with the Jazz and throughout the league?
Seems like it got less good. Now, it only takes one, right? So you don't need 5 people in there. I think this is if you're Walker. You just need one other suitor, and then you have bargaining power. So in that sense, it's very advantageous. All he needs is one person. However, it does feel like Indiana and Washington were 2 of the most talked about spots. They just both kind of made their moves. Washington doing the Anthony Davis and Alex Sarr. I'm sure they're not interested. Indiana went and got Zubac, who, I would have to assume, and I read from Chris Haynes, we were involved in those deals. I don't know that we would have taken that deal, but I also don't think that Indiana's doing a deal with Walker unless they know what his number is. I don't know how that works. I don't know how Indiana – I don't know what is allowed back channel on that, and what conversations – but if you're Indiana, you're not trading for Walker Kessler and then finding out, he wants $35 million. Crap, we give him 2 first-round draft picks. And so you're going to know what it is that he wants and so I don't know if they found that out and that number was too big. And so they went and took Zubac at 18, 19, or 20, which is what Zubac is. He's 18, 19, 20, great contract, or whether it just actually never materialized. But if in fact Chris Haynes is right that we were in conversations, then I'm certain Indiana was in conversations with Walker. I don't know how it played out, but that's intuitive. So Walker, are the Clippers suddenly a player for Walker? Now that they don't have a center, is Brooklyn going to end up opening up the coffers for Walker? We have not seen a lot of restricted free agent player movement the last year, so I don't think Walker has a huge amount of leverage other than you'd like to get deals done and not have it become totally arduous.
What about the Lakers? I mean, the teams with cap room right now, the Bulls have the most, Lakers, but Bulls, Wizards, Lakers, Nets, and Hawks. Maybe the Pistons, maybe.
Okay, Bulls, possible. Wizards, no. Lakers, but once they sign Austin Reeves, don't they lose most of their cap space?
They have $108 million committed next season, right now. So
I have to look at what Austin Reeves' number is. Austin Reeves' number.
So he's at $14 million with a player option for $15. Him saying, "Forget about the option. I want to get paid." I get that.
Right, he's going to get $40.
Okay, so if he goes to 40, then they go to 148. That leaves them a little bit of room, depending on what else they do.
But not how much room? Not $25 million. What's the cap?
They'd have to jettison. They'd have to find some people move Ayton, right? He's making $8 million, so they could create a little more room that way. I think the cap's projected at 166 somewhere in there. So.
Okay.
I mean, to your point, there's teams that can do it. There's a little bit of wiggle room. There's 5 or 6, and some of the teams have filled the gap. And no matter what I say this morning, one deal this summer, and then that team doesn't have gap, and it doesn't have space anymore, and somebody else might open up some space. So,
right. And Walker's really good. He's a 7-footer that protects the rim. But I also don't know that I think. I mean, maybe
his value's less. I mean, that might be the answer. Maybe.
Yeah, it's curious. I'm trying to figure out where he fits in all of it. I would rather have Walker than Daniel Gafford, I think, but then I'd probably rather have Daniel Gafford at whatever his number is than Walker at 25.
Right.
How do you think Markkanen and Jackson will mesh?
I think they should mesh fine because defensively Jackson really helps Lowry. Jackson's got to play the 4. Here's the thing on Walker where he's so important. Jackson really needs to play the 4 defensively.
Yeah.
He's not a good rebounder, and the numbers on Memphis are really different when he plays the 4 than when he plays the 5. He's one of the 5 best isolation defenders in the league. Like when you go get that 6'11" frame with good decent athleticism and that size and that length, and you try to take him on a switch, like that's a bad scenario for the other team. So this is where Jaren Jackson, like 1 through 4 switching is pretty great. And then as a secondary weak side defender with, someone goes and puts Lowry in space, which teams do. Lowry's not a particularly good isolation defender. In fact, at times he's been ranked one of the worst. Now you drive and Walker or Jackson's going to be in a position where they can come help. That's a pretty mammoth change for the Jazz defensively. Offensively, Jaren Jackson's a really good shooter. Like, he's become that. In the last 2 years, he's 39% on catch and shoots. We always like to have 753s as kind of your number for the most recent 750. His number's at like 500, so you're not totally sure this is real because he was a 33% kind of three-point catch and shooter, but he's been 39% for 2 years now. If Lowry's coming off an off-ball screen that we run so very much and they bring in help off Jaren Jackson, I think Lowry finding Jaren Jackson, that's going to give him a lot of looks. He's not a great pick-and-roll big. In fact, he and Walker were like the 2 worst pick-and-roll bigs they were 2 of the 5 worst pick-and-roll bigs in the NBA last year, he and Walker. So, the Jazz are going to have to figure out how to play pick-and-roll for Keontae. But I think I'm not particularly concerned about the offensive match other than how much what you have to do for Jaren to make him feel engaged, right? He doesn't want to become the 4th guy just sitting out there not doing anything. So, does he play some center in the minutes where Lowry's off the floor so that then you're playing post up through him to get him his 5 or 6 or 8, 7 touches a night? Like, that's the only real concern I have on it. I think we lack ball handling, but we don't lack passing. The guys, they're all pretty decent passers. We lack ball handling, though.
I thought the plan would be for him to play backup center because as much as I totally agree with you, yeah, he's miscast if he's the full-time 5. But you're playing against backup centers for a few minutes. Part of the beauty of having 3 7-footers would always be having 2 of them on the floor pretty much at any one time if you want. You should be able to pull that off. Maybe for matchup purposes, well, some nights you don't want it. But when you want it, you should be able to pull it off. So it seemed like there would be a role. And then the other thing is, when you've talked so much about injuries, David, and you have talked so much about don't look at how long a guy is in the league, how many years, look at how many minutes he's played. What about the whole thought that the starters who we see playing big minutes right now maybe should be in the 30 to 33 range, and that opens up more time to move different combinations of guys around?
Yeah, I think, right, we're talking about everything. I think that's a great point that this all can change so dramatically on one, given one night's twisted ankle suddenly changes everything for 2 weeks. But that's where you probably do need to have another center that's half decent, because if Walker goes out for a while, you really don't want to be rolling Jaren Jackson out as your starting center the whole time.
Yeah.
So it gets a little complicated in that sense. I mean, we all want Jock Landale now. I can really get in the weeds with you here. Lowry plays in 3 stints per half. That's how, if you've noticed this, Lowry plays 6 minutes, sits for 3, plays for 6, sits for 3, unless it's the 4th quarter last night, and then plays 6 more. And so I think it's really interesting of what we do in those 2-3 minute gaps, because is that where you just run the offense through Jaren and get him a bunch of touches?
Mm-hmm. We've seen that. So, old school fans know that very well. Why will Antoine Carr take such a small role?
Yeah.
And when he checked in, you knew exactly when he was going to run, and you knew when they were going to throw the ball to him on the post and he was going to shoot. The very first time down the floor, they force-fed him, and it worked.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
it could work again.
I think there's something to that. Jackson's a really good driver. He's a pretty good offensive isolation player. He's an average post-up player. These are all just based on stats. And he's a good shooter. He's not very good on the pick and roll. He's not very good on the off ball. Well, maybe that's fine, because Keontae is going to play pick and roll with Walker, and Lowry's playing the off ball stuff. So he's going to do the other stuff. So it actually may complement really, really well, but it's going to have to be massaged by Will Hardy.
Isaiah Collier's assist to turnover numbers are just staggering, and obviously he's been playing the entire game here of late. How much of all of this is legitimate?
50%.
What is, what isn't?
Well, his tenacity, determination, and fight, there aren't just a lot of – I walked out with him last night. He was a tired young man. So I think that's, tells you a lot about who he is, the fact that he's got this mentality. I think it's great. And I think that's really real. His speed's real. His development and growth is real, that he's just playing off 2 feet and playing his floater zone shot has gone from 37% to 48%. He's figuring out how to not drive in the lane, jump in the air, be like, oh, crap, what am I going to do, and throw the ball away, which is literally why his turnovers are down. So I think there's a lot of development. I'm not sure I think this is a sustainable way to play basketball. His time of possession last night was obscene. His fourth quarter assist hunting was fun in Indiana, but that's not really an answer. You can go for the fact he doesn't take threes is pretty limiting. That's why I said 50%. I think he deserves a huge amount of credit for a lot of it. And then, we're just playing such stressless basketball right now, right? There's just no ramifications to what's going on.
Yeah.
It's even as gorgeous as Nurkic has been and fabulous as he's been, part of me is yeah, this is just right. Nurk's rolling because this is the greatest. This is being at summer camp, right? There's no one's giving you grades. It's fun. The guys get along great. Will's created a super environment, and it's pretty pressure free, and it's catering service for you. It's fully summer camp. It's great.
In this early developmental phase, Dave, I feel like all of us, fans, media, probably inside the club to a large degree too, there's a lot of focus on, okay, what is a guy's superpower? Will directs the discussion that way, right? What does he do well? Let's not focus on what he can't do. Except when you get to pressure basketball games, when you get to the playoffs where you play teams 7 times in 2 weeks, the opposing team is absolutely going to focus on what you can't do. And they're going to make you do what you can't do and see how well you can handle it and how long you can handle that for. So the whole way we've been looking at this is going to have to pivot as they get better. There's no way around it. So that's what makes at least 25% of all of this is not real, just because of that. Because we've been looking at guys developing what can you do. When they get to the playoffs, it's going to be what can't you do.
Right. Last night there were some really great moments with Cody and Isaiah, and those should be really, really important to us because that's what we're doing. Mm-hmm. But there was also Jacques Landale was guarding Cody.
Yeah.
It's
not real. That's not going to happen in the playoffs. Right. Yeah.
Right. And so you can't have that. And
that's why That's why I want to look ahead, David. To circle back to where we started, that's why I want to look ahead, because it'll be much more real when we get to next October.
Right. No, I got asked today, what is your over-under on the Jazz win total? And, the Warriors don't look great next year, and the Clippers don't look great next year, and you start to piece this together, and, let's talk. I think there's a high likelihood the Jazz are, unless I'm forgetting someone, the Jazz are probably picked to be 6th in the West next year to start the year. They're better than the Pelicans, they're better than the Kings, they're better than the Mavericks, they're better than the Grizzlies, they're better than the Blazers, they're better than the Clippers, they're better than the Warriors, they're better than the Suns. So, are they maybe picked 7th in the West to start the year next year?
We'll have to see what everybody does this summer. It's highly speculative right now. David, we got to run, but we appreciate it as always. It has definitely been a big week. You can feel everything pivoting. So what's next?
This was a monumental time for us because I just want to let you know I just did this entire interview on my Meta glasses.
Oh, did you really?
Uh-huh. They're so great. Glasses. They're the sound quality is so good that I actually just did the whole interview on the Meta glasses.
A couple months ago,
I focused and I didn't move around, and I did all the things you like me to do.
All right, thanks, David. We got to run. David Locke, radio voice of the Utah Jazz. PK, I saw those. One of our bosses had a pair a couple months ago, and I got to play with them. That was absolutely mind-blowing. Like, all right. What do I need a phone for? I got my glasses. I mean, that is a huge step forward from when we were kids and the paper was in the driveway and the phone was on the wall. Like, okay, just boom, right? You don't really need your phone. You got your glasses. You want to make a call? Here we go. All right, amazing. DJ and PK, if you haven't messed around those, you got to do them. They're awesome. DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Whirls around and down. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone is your exclusive home of the Utah Jazz. And we want to send you to the Delta Center to see the Jazz in action. Listen every Tuesday for the Jazz Ticket Tuesday Sounder at 30 past the hour, every hour, all day long. And if you're caller number 12, you'll be on your way to an upcoming game.
Buy one, you'll get one free.
It's Jazz Ticket Tuesday, every Tuesday throughout the NBA season on your radio home for the Utah Jazz. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
The Hercules First Federal Union Credit Union Salt Lake County High School Players of the Week are Jessica Maynard from Mountain Ridge High and Luke West from Bingham High. Maynard had 21 points in a win over Riverton and 23 in a rout of Harriman. West tallied 19 points and 8 boards in a win over Harriman and then tacked on 27 in a win over Copper Hills. The Salt Lake County Players of the Week award proudly presented by Hercules First Federal Credit Union. At Hercules, they're celebrating the everyday victories. Hercules First Federal Credit Union, growing stronger together. DJ, PK, and we are joined by John from J. Brooks Jewelers because Valentine's Day is 1 week from tomorrow. Some people need Valentine's gifts, some for a wife, some for a girlfriend, some for a mom, some for a daughter, maybe even a daughter-in-law, and some people are thinking, all right, I'm ready to take the next big step and pop the question. There are many people coming through your doors for many different reasons with many different needs, John.
Yeah, and Jay Brooks, as we've talked about for years and years, is a full-service jeweler, so we handle all those needs, whether it be from restoring a piece, which there's still some time to do that if we want to restore a piece for Valentine's Day. We have 4 full-time jewelers, so it's time to do a lot of things.
If you haven't had a piece of jewelry cleaned in a long time, it can make a stunning difference.
A stunning difference. Cleaning and inspections are free. You just stop by, we take a look, see what needs to be done. So that's an easy thing to do. If you're on a tight budget and you just want to have it polished and cleaned, that's something that can be done pretty reasonably, So there's lots of good options, whatever the circumstance might be. What I would just remind everybody is that this is a holiday as a guy. You just don't want to mess up. And so whatever it is you want to do it right. So we try to make it easy for you by having flowers and chocolate as part of your purchase. So whatever you purchase, we have a dozen roses for you ready, chocolate for you, and, of course, the jewelry itself. And we have a wonderful selection from price points that really we start beautiful things that start at around $100. And then we go to anywhere you want to go as far as that goes. So if you want to blow our mind, we have some blow your mind gifts that will do a great job. We always tease you can't sell Ferraris if you don't have them. And so we have a few Ferraris around the showroom that'll make it easy for you. But we do everything for everybody. And we want to be that family jeweler where whatever you might need and whenever you might need it, that we're there to take care of you. But this time of year, we have lots of great things in the gift-giving budgets for Valentine's Day. And I just can't think of a better holiday to say to your sweetheart, hey, I love you. I want to do something special for you. So if you didn't do something fun for Christmas, this is a great follow-up, a great time to make up for that and do something for her that she'll remember forever. So go check us out online at jbrooksjewelers.com. Take a minute to follow us on Instagram. You'll be very, very pleased with all the content, keep you fresh. And that's what, with an all-female staff, all the stylists, I'm the only guy working on the sales floor, that just makes it easy. They'll get to know her, get to know you, and help you and make it so easy for you. One of the funnest stories we have is a customer from Park City, and she said to us as we were doing appraisals of all her things, we have been so lucky, she used the word blessed, but so lucky to have met you because you've taken care of everything we ever needed for the last 20 years. And that's what we want to be. We want to be your jeweler. You have a doctor, you have a dentist, you have a CPA, perhaps you have an attorney. We want to be that other professional in your life. We want to be the jeweler that just looks after you. And we make it fun and easy. When you come in, it's a very enjoyable, fun environment.
Find John in his stores, Murray and Lehigh, and online at jbrooksjewelers.com. DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. A big week for the Utah Jazz. We have spoken with David Locke. We have talked about it ourselves, PK. what comes next? What kind of offer does Walker Kessler get? And do the Jazz match it? I think the thing with Ryan is he is a fan and he has extraordinary wealth, and I think he is going to go into the luxury tax. Now, how you do it and when you do it, maybe you don't do it the first year because then that buys you a year, as you speed towards the repeater tax, because the NBA set it up. There's a lot of very wealthy people in the NBA. And 2 or 3 years of that tax gets everybody gulping and saying, we need to shed some salary here. So I think they're going to do it one day, but I do think that when you go, it's got to be done. You gotta do it as smartly as possible, because I think they're going to go into the luxury tax at some point. But how far you go and when you go and how long you stay there, that's where basketball starts taking a back seat. And you and I are more likely to sit here and talk about basketball, but the money's going to shape what they do going forward too. And the next piece. That's a lot of money for Jaren Jackson Jr., and I get why they did it, and I'm excited about the talent acquisition. But what's the price tag? Well, we know his price tag because he signed for a long time. Now, what is Kessler's price tag going to come in at? I won't be surprised if they can't come together. I'll be a little surprised if they do. I think this comes more to he goes and gets an offer and brings it back, and what does that offer look like?
Well, when it comes to money, I would never be in the position to tell somebody, hey, you have so much money, so therefore you should spend so much money.
Right.
We're seeing that with a publication back east. People are, well, he's got all this money. Well, I don't see where he or they are under obligation to spend money on losing propositions just because you want them to. It doesn't make any sense to me. That's their money. They can do whatever they want with it, right? And so that's the way I look at it. So if they feel like they don't want to go in the luxury tax, or they've been in it and they got the second apron and the limitations that brings, I don't know all about that stuff. I read it and think, oh my gosh, these guys and these folks, they've got big money. But if they don't want to do that and lose money that way and pay these penalties, I think they have every right not to. At the same time, to me, when you get a Jaren Jackson and you pair him with Markkanen and then Ace Bailey and George as the likely starters, we'll see how the bench flushes out, that re-signing, in this case, Kessler, becomes imperative, because what he adds, his value in the context of the entire team might be more of a value than he adds individually. It's like with Hornacek, right? Very good player, phenomenal shooter, great locker room dude, all those things, right? But what they needed, he was the guy to help them get over the top and get to the finals. So it's like Jeff had a lot of value individually, but the value he added to the team was more, in my mind, than his individual talent. And as I see this team being constructed, that's the way I look at Kessler, is that he has a skill that they need. And yeah, it's going to cost. Mm-hmm. Everything is going to cost. That's the way it is, man. They say the simplest of things, going to McDonald's costs more than it used to, whatever, to use an extreme low-level example on all that. I never buy anything, so I don't know how any of that works. I don't handle the finance. I mean, it's true. It is so true.
You never buy anything.
I don't. I literally don't. No, I don't.
Okay.
I don't do any of the money. People will ask me, I go golfing, hey, how much did that cost? I literally don't know. My wife makes the times. She handles every cent. I don't know a thing. I come home and there'll be a few 20s on my dresser. And I've got this little pouch they gave us from the Rose Bowl. And I put it right in my top drawer. I probably got over $100 sitting in there because I don't ever spend these 20s. They just sit in my wallet.
Which then you leave on the roof of the car at Costco because you do buy gas. That's the one thing you buy.
I buy gas with a credit card.
Right. Yeah.
I don't use cash. Yeah, and I did that once, and I'll never do that again.
Right.
And I pull out of I'm still on the property when I realize, and I never got the wallet back. Somebody found it and wouldn't turn it in. So there you go. And I had to go down and do a TV thing. I was all huffed.
and then go back and spend another hour looking for it, and I never did find it. So I made that mistake once, and that's it. So I am so ignorant when it comes to finances, but I do believe that I can't tell you how you should spend your money. At the same time, what's the point of bringing in Jaren Jackson if you don't have a Walker Kessler? Now, maybe they can get a Walker Kessler substitute, so it doesn't literally have to be him, but I think it has to be somebody with his skill set. I would like it to be him. We've talked to him. Seems like a decent dude. And he's been here for a few years. And these guys now, a guy like Marketing, he needs to start not receiving, but experiencing the fruits of his labor and being able to win and get himself in the postseason. That's the fun part. These guys make enormous amounts of money. They live different lives than anybody could possibly even comprehend. But at the same time, they want to have fun. They are just like the rest of us in terms of what their needs and wants are. And they want to have fun at work. Everybody does. And you would think fun comes through winning. As I said earlier, winning is an intoxication unlike anything. And I don't know. I've never done drugs or any of that stuff. I don't know what it is to have an altered state, but I do know winning the Class Z championship with the Daily Breeze softball was a whole lot of fun.
Let me tell you about 2 years of intramural basketball. Terrible radio, but great times for me.
Right. It's just so fun to win an athletic competition with your boys or with your girls, whoever it is. I played co-ed softball, and we had a phenomenal team. We had 5 or 6 women on the team, and they were awesome. And it was so fun to go every week. Co-ed softball, man, who cares? But at the time, man, I looked forward to it every single week. It replaced what I had when I was working down in Torrance and had my guys that are still my guys all these years later that we talk. And we laugh about. We've had Tom Hofarth, the media guy, on, and what does he do? He wants to talk about Daily Breeze softball. You were on the conversation. You heard it.
Yep.
So it's fun to do that. So these guys, I think it's just as fun, if not more fun. So you've got this, I don't want to say gaping hole, but you've got this opening in the middle. He can fill it. I hope that they can come together on an agreement, or if not him, somebody else, because they need that rim protector. They don't need a big-time scorer. Looks like they've got plenty of scoring. They should be one of the better offensive teams, top 5 probably, going into next season. We'll see how things plan out. They need help on that defensive end. So I would love to see Kessler in there, but it's not my money. And I don't have to worry about any of that stuff and paying those luxury taxes and whatnot. So I get all that. And it'll be fascinating to see how it all comes to develop, because I know now, without a shadow of a doubt, now I can honestly say this with everything that I believe in, that they will be all about winning going forward. That doesn't mean they're going to be financially irresponsible. I'm not saying that. But the moves that they make will be aligned towards winning. And if you're a fan, which most of our listeners are, that's what it's about. You want to enjoy your team winning, because you don't play NBA basketball, but it is still a level of intoxication when your team wins, because it is so much fun. We understand all of that.
Be interesting to see what they do. I mean, there's a lot of ways this could go. They might come together on a deal. They might. I wouldn't think that's the way it works. I think he goes out.
Really?
I think he goes out and gets an offer and brings it back. And I think it's likely that they match it. But we just have to see how that plays out.
You think he's on the team next year?
I think anything is in play. I'm not reporting anything is going to happen. I think the most likely scenario is that he gets an offer and they match it. But as David Locke said when he was on, it takes one team, one wild card, and the price gets too high. I think one of the things that's working here that we haven't talked about is the fact that this owner and this management team came in and looked at the way the last group was constructed and said, too much of the payroll is going to a good player who dominates at one end of the floor but doesn't add much at the offensive end. Man, I think they like Gobert and recognized his talent, but if he'd been at 30 instead of 45 or whatever he was at, it would have been a different ballgame. But they still needed things, and they couldn't go get them. Now, what David brought up with is what about ball handling? This is not a team that has an experienced point guard. I think they have enough guys who can dribble and pass. They can get through a regular season. But we have seen in previous playoff runs the kind of intense pressure that can be put on the guy who brings the ball up the floor and how much that can disrupt an offense. And getting a veteran who's been through it, who knows how to handle that, who has seen it all and doesn't get rattled is a valuable thing. If you can't get the ball who can score to the guy who can score at the rim or in the corner or wherever you're getting your shots, it doesn't matter. And do they really have that? And they have some guys, and maybe that's
Isaiah Collier, don't
maybe
they?
they have some guys who grow into that. It'll be interesting because the thing with Isaiah Collier is he doesn't stretch the floor. Can they get away with that in a playoff series? I mean, we're jumping way ahead here. But I think these are all the discussions that Austin Ainge had to have with everybody. Danny Ainge, a bunch of scouts. If we put $50 million here, what do we have for Kessler? And what do we have for, an experienced ball handler? And looking, 2 years down the road, how are we moving the pieces? Whose contract is expiring? Or who can be moved when they're down to a year and a half or a year or 6 months left in their deal? Because the goal is to open. I mean, Jay-Z said this, and he meant it when he said it, and he's sitting in all these discussions with Austin Ainge, presumably, right? It's like, open the championship window, but then keep it open. Don't price yourself out so all of a sudden you're like, oh, we're stuck. We got nowhere to go but backwards. We got to throw this baby into reverse and try to work this out because we see how long that can take. So going forward at the right price, I think everybody would feel better if Jackson was coming in at 35 instead of 50. I think every time you have a $50 million player.
I think Jackson would. I think he'd feel better.
Yeah, he would not be. He'd be about $15 million sadder at that point. That's what he would be. But there's a price tag to get him, and there aren't many guys. I mean, Defensive Player of the Year, an All-Star, and we know all that. It'll be interesting to see guys get in new roles. He's not been a great rebounder, right? How do you get him to be better? Maybe he'll never be great, but how do you get him to be better? And how do you get him points? Look at his numbers. He has never averaged 2 offensive rebounds in a game. And at what point do they set stuff up so and talk to him so his mindset gets to the point where I need 2.5 offensive boards a game because those are going to be dunks. I'm going to get them and I'm going to put them back in. Can that happen or not? Maybe that never happens. Maybe he's too far down the road.
He'll be 27 in September, so that means when we start the season next year, he'll be 27, and he'll have many years in the league because they come in so young.
Oh, yeah.
And I think we know who Jaren Jackson Jr. is, and expecting him to be something that he isn't, I think is unrealistic. It might be even borderline unfair because you brought him in knowing that this is what he does. He's done it a number of years in the league now. I expect him to be very good. Absolutely. I expect him to help him win.
His big years offensive rebound have been 1 point. He's had a couple of 1.5s. Yeah. He's had a 1.7. So, all right, DJ and PK. It's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Coming up, we'll recap everything we've talked about in this show, including the Super Bowl, update the Super Bowl poll, go to Twitter and vote. Seahawks in a blowout, Seahawks in a close one, Patriots, or who wins the Super Bowl? Everybody wants a golf time. Everybody wants a tee time, which actually look like they're pretty hard to come by. The weather's pretty good. I've checked a couple courses, and it's you can still get a tee time, but there are not a lot of options.
Yeah, that's why I'm going to Hawaii this weekend.
Had a kid, PK. I'm going to Hawaii for the weekend, big spender. Had a kid. We were joined
Jay Brooks.
Yeah, we are joined right now by John from J. Brooks Jewelers. Options. It's good to have options in life, and when people walk into your store looking for a Valentine's gift, Valentine's Day, one day. A week from tomorrow. So you got 8 days to go here. When they come in, you got options for them.
A lot of options. We have the PK case.
Oh, really?
So yes. When you come in, Mr. Kinahan has a whole set aside, his picks, his choices. We want to make sure that people have an option that way. But one of the things I would remind yourself, don't overthink this. Sometimes it's as easy as my wife really has a bracelet or she really has a ring, a band that she loves, so we can stack with that. Stacking has been the last 5 years one of the most popular things in the world. And so the girls will come in and they'll have anywhere from 3 to 10 bracelets on because that arm is quite long, and so they can really add to that. And you can stack different. You're just stacking different textures, different colors, and different gemstones, so it makes a really fun thing. And then bands. Most girls really love the idea of having a band for each one of their kids. So if they have 3 kids, they want to have 3 bands because one day that band will be theirs. That's something that the kid can already, now Mom, which band is mine? So they really love that kind of thing. So sometimes you don't have to overthink it. You can just come back and, hey, that was really successful. Let's try that. And of course we have the necklaces are the same. the average girl I find is wearing 2, 3, 4 necklaces at a time right now. Just stacking, so we can start something simple. We can add something fantastic for a particularly fun occasion, and when you're finished, you just have this great thing that has such variety that you don't have to. That she can mix and match all the time. So it really builds a little bit of a wardrobe. She doesn't have the same purse. She doesn't have the same shoes. So we should have a little variety in our jewelry wardrobe also. And if you follow us on Instagram, you'll see Victoria does a great job of showing how that works and what it looks like. So it helps the girls. When they come in, the stylist will help the wife or the girlfriend see what it's supposed to look like also.
I didn't grow up with sisters, so this is just all a mystery to me. This is just, and my dad didn't grow up with sisters, so poor mom, right? And so the thing about getting the advice and the stacking, so the whole theory is to have all those different options, so different clothing, different colors, whatever they're wearing, then they got something that mix and matches and works.
Right. And they can wear one bracelet or they can wear all 5.
Right. Okay.
It just depends on the mood that they're in. So, it's like like when we first came, you didn't know anything about push gifts. And we taught you all about that.
See?
And so
yeah,
you can learn. All
men,
I would tell you can learn. Just check us out, jbrooksjewelers.com, Murray Lehigh, and, of course, on Instagram, jbrooks Jewelers. It's just a great way to see what's looking and what direction to go.
Valentine's Day, 1 week from tomorrow, and if you get the jewelry, you're going to hook them up with the flowers and the chocolate as well.
That's right.
So who wants to run 3 errands when you can just go to Murray or Lehigh and run 1 errand?
One easy stop, the trifecta.
There it is, DJ, PK, and John from J. Brooks Jewelers. Check them out online at jbrooksjewelers.com.
This is JJ and Alex.
I got this. I want you to go off a little bit more about how the rebuild is over. A trade like this hits harder when your team has come as far as the Jazz have come, and especially County George.
What the Jazz did today was take a huge leap forward to the point of not only is the rebuild over, this is who we are. We have potentially 3 All-Stars in our starting lineup with young players who have the potential to also become All-Stars, Ace Bailey and whoever they're going to take in this upcoming draft.
Right.
We're not only going to compete and try to make the playoffs next year, we're going to be a force. Take us seriously now. We have a lineup that you must take seriously. We're going to compete at a high level moving forward, and you don't have to worry about all this stuff and all this pain. The pain is gone. Now you're going to enjoy the fruits of your labor. This team's going to be really, really good next year as long as they stay healthy.
Catch JJ and Alex afternoons from 3 to 7 on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Slacker Radio Headlines brought to you by Trajan Wealth. Call Trajan Wealth today, your local trusted financial fiduciary. Call them at 801-210-6800. Visit the website at TrajanWealth.com. PK, many topics. We spent a lot of time on the Jazz. We spent a lot of time on the Super Bowl. We're both picking Seahawks. Seattle. This is how it's going to happen. They're the better team. They came through the tougher schedule. We had Kevin Graham on. You can listen to it wherever you get your podcasts, and he pointed out the Patriots went 1-2 against playoff teams in the regular season, and obviously now in the playoffs they've won 3 games, so they're 4-2. And Seattle's 7-2. Haven't played the Rams and the Niners 3 times apiece, and beaten 3 other teams along the way. They feel battle tested. It feels like they ought to do it. I suppose there's a chance Darnold throws 3 picks though, and Drake May had a game with 4 fumbles earlier in the playoffs. So turnovers, anything can happen, but I'm picking Seattle.
Sure, fine. I agree with you, but anything can happen. And there was a team that hadn't lost a game, beat everybody.
And I was sure they were going to win. Yeah, right? Yeah. And then as it played out, you're like, they haven't put it away yet. Sure enough, they got beat.
Right. Atlanta had put it away and still lost.
That was miraculous, right? Yeah. That's funny. I just saw, they rerun now. The NFL Network will just start rerunning the half-hour recaps of all the Super Bowls one after another. And I just happened to channel surf into one. And they literally have a guy on the side. They get stopped. They give the ball away, whatever. And the guy, the one defender or one offensive player is looking at others like, oh, we're in trouble. No, there's plenty of time. And the guys, we need a turnover. Boom, sack, fumble. They got the turnover, the short field, and the touchdown. They got back in it. It happens. It happens.
Yeah, do.
All sorts of chaos. So to you, is it a bigger deal if Darnold wins it, gets his monkey off the back, comes all the way from being the bust in New York and the bust in Carolina, and really turning around his career, as Ian Furness told you guys, on the bench in San Francisco, and he wins a Super Bowl, and it's this massive, everybody loves the comeback story, or May, who's the 3rd pick in the draft, announces himself as the next big thing and has a Super Bowl at the age of 23, and then we all start wondering, well, is he going to get 2, or is he going to get 3, or is he going to get 4? Which one intrigues you more? I mean, they're both great stories.
Yeah, I think I would go more with Darnold. I don't know that Drake May is the next big thing. Is he a good quarterback? Yeah. Will he probably be a better quarterback than he is now? I can see that in his progression. But I don't know that I'm ever going to look at him as a big-time quarterback. But that's so fickle. Football, we view these quarterbacks as if they are 90% of the reasons why teams win or lose. And it's just not that way. But at the same time, you got to have a competent guy. I think that for Darnold, maybe it sends a message for others. Hey, let's not have complete and total and final evaluations on guys until they've been around a little bit, because it is a complex position. It's the most difficult position of all of sport to play. And so he gets run out of town, and maybe we need to look inward instead of looking at the individual. You're a failure because you didn't succeed with the Jets or whomever it might be. And so maybe we need to look at the other variables and all the factors rather than the individual. And Darnold has paid his dues. And this will be the first connection to the Marlboro Man, the original Marlboro Man, winning the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Dick Hammer, who was the original Marlboro Man, is Sam's grandfather on his mother's side. So he married, or his mother's maiden name is Hammer. So Sam's father, whatever his name is, married Mary Hammer. I don't know. And her father is Dick Hammer. And who wouldn't want to see Dick Hammer have a protege being the Super Bowl winner? And I think Kevin said MVP. The Marlboro Man was tough. Now, we'll overlook in the fact that he probably got cancer. That doesn't matter. But the fact is, in those days, if you smoked Marlboro, you were a man's man, were you not, DJ? Didn't you sneak a puff on a Marlboro now and again?
100% I did not. However, here's my Marlboro Man connection. In the original San Diego Stadium, before they go through all the remodels, there's a huge scoreboard at one end. And there were two big billboards, essentially, and they were massive. And the one on the left was the Marlboro Man. And it was there, all the Padre games, all the Aztec games. I didn't get to go to a lot of Charger games as a kid, but it was there, and it was relentless. And that guy looked down on whatever game was happening, game after game, year after year. That thing, they paid the money, and they kept that ad up.
Did you ever take a puff of any form of a cigarette, any brand?
Yes.
Oh, you believe it, Yock? I am shocked. Schedule that appointment Sunday with you know who.
You know who already knows. It's not a huge secret.
Quite an admission here.
And John from J6 Drills is sitting here, and he's hitting himself on the leg. He's literally slapping his knee right now, PK.
John J. Brooks or J.
If you want the full details, it wasn't actually a cigarette; it was a cigar. But it's basically.
I thought you were going to say something funny.
It's basically the same thing. It's basically the same thing. Solids in your lungs are not a great idea, kids. Don't learn from your mistakes. Learn from my mistakes.
After your first kiss, did you light it up? What was the situation?
It was later. It was in college. It's a stupid college party. It was whatever.
Oh.
And it's horrible and whatever, but I did it, so there you go. Fine.
Oh, man. And did you mean he felt bad and told your ecclesiastic leader you'll never do that again? Please do not banish me to the outer darkness?
Unlike other people, I did inhale, and I choked like a dog and nearly coughed up a lung, and it was an unpleasant experience.
So it was one puff one time?
No, there was more than one. I tried to figure. I can figure this out, and I really couldn't. I'm an idiot.
DJ sowing his wild oats.
That's just wild. Yeah, wild and crazy. John over here. You should be able to see him right now. PK is just laughing his butt off. He's literally buttless right now. He is enjoying this. John is enjoying this so much. I mean, now he's got his arms folded, but earlier he was literally slapping his knee.
And what did you do with your cigar butt? Did you dispose of it properly?
Yes, I did. Absolutely. Okay, there's no littering, PK. No littering. Nobody's here for your litter. That's disgusting.
Fine.
That's disgusting. I don't want your litter here. All right, other things we talked about today. UVU has had their broadcast canceled by the WAC. They are not a member in good standing. They will not pay their $1 million buyout to the WAC. They're moving to the Big West. I don't know what their theory is. This all broke while I was out of town. I'm intrigued to hear about this. My guess is, like, why would he pay you guys? The whole conference is falling apart. And, the last school left there holding the bag is probably saying, well, Washington State and Oregon State got paid. We're gonna hold on and get paid too. Let's go.
Yeah.
So they can't go to the conference tournament. They can't play in it. They could, as you pointed out earlier, they could go and sit in the seats. But they're not going to be allowed to play in the conference tournament. They're not going to be allowed to have the NCAA tournament automatic berth. And now they can't even be on ESPN Plus streaming their basketball games, which they won. They beat Abilene Christian 68-55.
Well, finally, I have something in common with UVU because I, too, am not a member in good standing.
Nice. John's laughing again. He just snorted. The snort is the sign of real comedy. You can giggle, you can laugh, you can even fake a belly laugh. But when you snort, that's real, that's comedy. I believed it for a long time. Change my mind. I dare you. Put me behind that scene. Change my mind.
No.
If someone snorts, it was funny.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
Period. End of story.
Yes.
The other college basketball, we got a lot of big games. Utah going into the Lions' Den. Number 11, Kansas, 12:30, Big Fox. Yikes. Bring your best game, Utes. Kansas, I watched Kansas earlier this year, and I thought they were really struggling. I thought possibly they were really overrated, but they have pulled it together. They put together a nice string here, so that's going to be very difficult. Scotty G is in Laramie, maybe for the last time. Utah State at Wyoming going their separate ways with leagues realigning. Utah State at Wyoming, CBS Sports Network, 6 o'clock. Scotty will have the pregame at 5:30 on 1280 The Zone. And then the big one, 8:30 ESPN, number 8 Houston at number 16 BYU. A lot of college basketball Saturday, and that Houston-BYU game, man, they lost 3 in a row and 4 out of 5. Desperate times, desperate measures. I think they might even have to play some defense.
Yes, my gosh. Speaking of not in good standing, man, if you just lose to every ranked team, that's just not good. You got to have some signature wins. They'll still get in the tournament, I think, because I think they've got enough. But you want the best seed possible. It's not the end of the world, but it's not about a seed right now for BYU. It's about building confidence, building continuity, knowing that you can get stops when you need them. Because if you can't, you're going to have no chance. It's so hard to outscore teams every game. You can do it sometimes. No question about it, but it's really, really hard to do. And that game the other night, man, they got off to another slow start, but then they rallied, and the lead was the game was tied at halftime, and then they go up by, I think, 5, maybe 6, no more than 7 or 8, and you're thinking, okay, they got this, and then they just fall apart again, man. A lot of one-on-one offensively, although offense hasn't been the problem. DeBonsa, he has the ability to take over.
He went off.
Foolish not to let him.
He went off against Oklahoma State.
Yeah, if he's hitting threes, look out, because he can do all the other stuff. But they've got to be tougher. Too many shots right at the basket. My goodness gracious.
Yep.
You take away the Oklahoma State's three-point shooting. I think they shot 54%. Well, you take that out of the equation, and what are they shooting? 60, 70% inside the lane there? Completely and totally unacceptable. At the very least, go knock somebody on their butts. Don't take a cheap shot. But on an inbounds pass, under their own inbounds play, under their own bucket, they get a shot right at the rim. That's 1,000% inexcusable.
They were 28 of 43, which is right about 70%. Not exactly, but it's close. But to your point about fouling, they were 65% at the line. So send them the line, especially if you avoid most teams have 1 or 2 guys who are money at the free throw line. Well, don't foul them. Mm-hmm. But, yeah, the shot chart is telling when you see too many of those, they're just great shots. When people can get to the rim, you got to stay between your man and the basket. It's so basic, but when it doesn't happen, everything breaks down. There's rotations. It gets ugly. Yeah, it's a mess. And the turnovers were a factor. They've got to clean that up. Houston forces 15 turnovers a game. They're among the national leaders, and everybody's playing different quality of competition. But teams like Houston and San Diego State, that's what they do, and they do it consistently. And you look, and they're both up among the national leaders again. You know what Houston's going to do to you. The brand has been established. It's not some high-level scouting report. You got to protect the ball and keep them out of transition.
Yeah, and guard. My goodness, guard. Yep. Give me all you got on the defensive end. If you need to rest on the other end, because I know they don't have a lot of depth. but you got to guard.
DJ PK, wherever you get your podcasts, listen to Kevin Graham and David Locke. They're both on the show. Kevin talking Super Bowl, David Locke talking all the Utah Jazz moves this week and what it means going forward. Because I think this was a very interesting week, but I think there are some more interesting weeks up ahead this summer for sure. What is this roster going to look like? And what is the rest of the West going to look like? Because David was ticking off teams. There's 3 teams the Jazz are better than, no question. And I think there's another 3 teams that are almost certainly better than. I think that should put them in playing territory, but maybe there's some more teams in front of them they can catch. Can they get to 6 or 7 in the West? Maybe better than that when you factor in injuries. Somebody's going to get gutted next year. Who's it going to be? We won't know until we see all the rosters, but an intriguing offseason because the Jazz are pushing chips to the middle of the table. Get them wherever you get your podcast, KSLSports.com, KSL Sports app, YouTube, Apple, Spotify. They're out there. You can listen to Kevin Graham, David Locke on the Super Bowl and the Jazz. Your feedback next. Stay with us. This week, the world is watching, and you could be watching on your brand new 75-inch smart TV. The KSL Sports Zone wants you front and center for every unforgettable moment. Enter to win a 75-inch TV at KSLSports.com/contest. And for additional entries, listen this week for keywords to be announced in each show. The more entries you have, the better your chance to win. Our keyword today is USA. Technically not a word, but you get the point. USA. Listen all day for more keywords and enter to win at KSLSports.com/contest. The countdown's on. The opening ceremony's today. The big game's on Sunday with pregame coverage starting at 11 a.m. Watch it all on KSL 5 TV.
Let me tell you, DJ, USA is not only a word, it is the word.
Asa. The keyword is Asa.
What's it spelled backwards?
ASU. ASU. I see what you did there. Very clever. Nobody chants BSCU. BSCU. Yeah, it doesn't work. No, it works better for you guys.
BSCU? Yeah, that sounds fun.
I actually, a lot of women have said that to me, though. BSCU.
Oh, yeah?
BSCU later.
Yeah. I've had that many times, come to think of it.
BS. See you later.
Yeah. BS. See you.
I'm a pre-med. BS. See you later. Friday nights at ASU.
When I'd hand out cigars.
All right. Time for your feedback. Chewbacca has a great picture of me in a leather chair. There's a lightning bolt over my shoulder. I can't see whose jersey is framed behind me. Well, there's a Say Al on one side. That one's obvious. And I got these shades on like he must have ripped them off of Joe Biden somewhere. And I got a big old stogie going, and there's smoke everywhere. Okay, that's funny. Let's see. Oh, here we go. Poll question. Who wins the Super Bowl? 64% of you think the Seahawks win big and cover that 4.5-point spread. They're favored by 4.5. 14% of you say Seahawks in a squeaker. 9% think the Patriots are going to win, and 13.2% say anyone who wants to golf. And just keeping it real at KIR Soccer says, I'll take the fourth option. I'll be at Black Desert golfing during the game. So there it is.
During the
PK.
game, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, Black Desert.
Yeah.
I've been there.
Yeah.
I've golfed there.
The tee times I'm finding, if you want to play later in the day, there's some that like the 240, 320. It's a 4:30 kickoff here. So if you're playing 9 at 240, and I mean, it's going to get dark a little after 6, somewhere around 6 o'clock. You won't be able to see anymore. So you'd be back for the second half. I mean, you're not exactly all in, but hey.
I'm all in. I'll be in front of the television right at kickoff.
There you go.
As always.
We also have this all a moot point with me and the Patriots. Seahawks are winning their second Super Bowl in this grudge match.
The grudge match, huh?
Yep. People loving the Seahawks. The question this morning about the Jazz and what's your evaluation of the Jazz moves. Mark says they are interesting. Patrick says, let's answer that after they played a few games. And Gary says, very pleased. Let's make a playoff push next season. Let's go.
Yeah, we all think they will.
Yep. Colin, if it helps them win games this season, then it's an absolute disaster. If we can still get a top pick, then the future suddenly looks bright.
I agree with that.
Yeah. And I don't think they'll win games this season. All right, DJ, PK, and John from J. Brooks Jewelers. John, Valentine's Day, 1 week from tomorrow. And you're offering not one, not two, but 3 gifts. One-stop shopping, guys. Why are you running 3 errands? You know you need chocolate. You know you need flowers. Jewelry, chocolate, flowers, all at J. Brooks Jewelers.
Someone might call that the hat trick.
There it is.
There you go. I think it's a great combination of things. We want to make it easy for guys. One thing that we know about all men, they want it easy. Want it simple. If you introduce us to your sweetheart or wife, we will get kind of a list going for you. We keep a wonderful wish list inside the store. So when you come in, there's always something in that wish list for you to come in. It's simple. It's easy. And again, our job is to make you look like the hero and to make it easy. I just want to remind the guys, whatever you do, don't forget Valentine's Day. It's the most important holiday of the year for your sweetheart. And we've curated a great collection together for you, from ideas from $100 to $100,000, and there's things everywhere in between. And we just have a wonderful, just a really great selection. And I would remind you also that J. Brooks has really the finest group of jewelers in the state of Utah. So if in the future you want to custom make something, or if you want to build from one of our many custom made pieces that are in the store, we have a selection and quality that's second to none in the state of anybody. So when you come by and see us, you'll be able to see and hold and feel. People will tell us, man, your rings just look different from other people's rings, and we take that as a real compliment. It's something we want to do. We want to be the finest jeweler, but we also want to always offer great value, and that's something that we do.
But it's not just rings, bracelets, pendants, earrings.
Whatever you want to do, whatever her collection, her jewelry wardrobe might need. We add on, like I said earlier, don't make it hard. Add on to something that she already loves. Add another band, add another bracelet, another necklace, simple things, stack them together. Girls love that. You can look on our Instagram at J. Brooks Jewelers, and you can just see all the ideas that Victoria puts together for you and makes it easy for you. And then, of course, the website at jbrooksjewelers.com gives you a full selection. In every price range, you can sort it by price range. You can sort it by styles. I'm looking for earrings. I'm looking for bracelets. I'm looking for whatever it is you want to do. And both natural and lab as far as Centerstone options. So we do all those things for you. Make it just, again, one-stop shop, your local family hometown jeweler.
He's John. He's at J. Brooks Jewelers, online at jbrooksjewelers.com. And you can visit him in person at the stores in Lehigh and Murray. John, thanks for joining us all morning long. Thanks for supporting the Zone for years. We appreciate it.
We appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Jake and Ben are coming up next.